This is a 13 Wham News Severe Weather Alert.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm 13 Wham TV meteorologist Mark McLean. We have a special weather bulletin that has been issued by the National Weather Service. This is a tornado warning that is in effect for Genesee County, for Orleans County, and also for Monroe County until 5:45 this afternoon. Now, this was a tornado that was unofficially called in near Corfu in Genesee County on the ground by yet as through authorities, local law enforcement, or the National Weather Service, but again has been reported by a viewer near Corfu in Genesee County. Now, this is what the radar looks like right now. You can see on the ultimate Doppler. These are the two cells that we're looking at right here. These are the two that have shown rotation in them here this afternoon. All this heat, all this instability in the atmosphere has produced this dynamic weather situation right now in northern Genesee County, and we're going to go in for a closer zoom for you. We'll see if we can go right in on this particular storm that's in Genesee County right now. We'll make a little box here and look at parts of southern Orleans County as well. That dark red shading, where you see that pink near Langston Corners north of Elbow right now, just to the north and east of Oakfield. This storm is moving off to the northeast at 40 miles per hour, and as it starts to head off to the northeast, I think it will eventually move into parts of western Monroe County, and that's why we're concerned right now. Lots of lightning. National Weather Service office in Buffalo, when this storm passed over, it had 1-inch hail at the National Weather Service office, so you can count on seeing some hail as well as this storm starts to push off to the east. Now, something to consider, tornado safety here in western New York. This is not something that we deal with at any point during the year. Variety. Take shelter in the lowest interior room, preferably a basement. If you have one, lie flat. Use a mattress as cover as a possibility if this tornado does pass through your area. Now, if you're driving, don't try to outmaneuver a tornado. That's never a good idea. Move away from it at a right angle to its path. That means if this storm is heading off to the northeast, you want to be heading in the other direction, south, away from that particular system. Now, with thunderstorm safety in general here in western New York, stay away from the windows. Remember, it's just glass. You have 60, 70, 80-mile-an-hour winds near that tornado. It's going to knock those windows out. Avoid tall objects outside. Find shelters indoors as soon as possible. Let's face it, it's a Sunday afternoon. A lot of us are probably going to be out and about at some point. Shut off the electronics. Avoid flooded roadways. And as we go through the rest of the afternoon, just remember to stay out of the water. Now, we'll have further updates on this as they become available. You can count on it every 5 or 10 minutes here. We also have more information at 13wham.com. You can always call the weather line at 334-0013 for the latest on this very changing weather situation. Now back to your regularly scheduled programming. Good afternoon, folks. This is meteorologist Mark McLean with another update on that tornado warning that we just mentioned about 10 minutes ago. Doppler radar still indicates some weak rotation in this particular storm cell. This is off to the west of Brockport right now. And the area that we're particularly looking at right now is this area, this cone area of the darkest orange shaded area on your television. This is where that storm has been tracking, now moving northeast at 25 miles per hour, so the storm system is slowing down. Now, as a result from that, Monroe County has been pulled out of the tornado warning. There was an unofficial report of some rotation of a funnel reaching the ground. That was near Corfu. That's in areas south of Oakfield. That was in extreme southwest parts of Genesee County. Now, that storm cell to the east and is now moving up towards Brockport. This is a live scan. This is actually what's happening outside right now. Some very heavy rainfall now in parts of extreme southeast Orleans County. You can count on seeing some wind gusts over 60 miles per hour with this particular storm cell. As this cell went over the National Weather Service office in Buffalo, New York, there was 1-inch hail. Buffalo at one point also had a tornado warning in effect. Now, this is the latest. This tornado will be near Byron at 5:30 this afternoon. Will be near Holly at 5:45 this afternoon. The safest place is always, if you're anywhere near this storm or in western Monroe County, right now is the time to take some action. You want to go inside, get yourself away from this particular storm system. This has had vivid lightning as well. Let's take a look at some of the details. Let's take a look at that lightning here on the ultimate Doppler radar. You can see lots of strikes with this particular storm. We can even go in for a little bit of a closer zoom here on the storm system that is producing all this action that we're talking about here this afternoon. We want to hone in on this area from about Manning up to the north near Murray, near Redmond Corner, near Brockport, just to the north. Sweden right now. You can see the lightning strikes have actually diminished just a little bit. That may be a good sign. This storm may actually be weakening just a little bit. Let's do a storm report on this particular storm, see how heavy it's raining here. And you can see with all the information that just popped up on the screen here that this severe thunderstorm is moving off to the northeast. Severe thunderstorm watch is also in effect until 9 o'clock this evening. That is for all of western New York. Let's clear some of that information away. We'll go to a storm track for you. We'll put this track down from areas near Manning. We'll go well off to our north and east. Near Brockport again. It could be around 6 o'clock for parts of eastern Brockport, Spencerport. The storm will be near you by about 6:30. So we have news coming up at 6 o'clock. We'll have 13 WHAM news at 6 o'clock. We also have the latest weather information at 334-0013. That's our weather line. And always at 13wham.com, we'll have the latest details on these storms as they become available. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. We'll have further updates in just a couple of minutes.
This is a 13 WHAM News Severe Weather Alert.
Good evening, everybody. We interrupt your regular broadcast to tell you about some severe weather that's moving through the area. We're talking possible tornado sightings, hail, heavy rain. To tell us more about this storm and where it's heading, we join meteorologist Mark McLean. Hey, Mark.
Thanks, Edward. And it has been a very active weather afternoon here in western New York, a very changing, a very dynamic situation that has developed here this afternoon. Lots of moisture in the atmosphere, some heating. We were back to normal summertime temperatures, and what that has done here is it's promoted the development of extremely strong thunderstorms this afternoon. Now, this cell that we're looking at right now in parts of western Monroe County, this is a live scan. This is the severe thunderstorm that we've been watching here this afternoon. This is the one that's responsible for a warning right now in parts of south and east Orleans County. This storm is moving off to the northeast right now at 25 miles per hour. Now, here's what I can tell you. Then I'm going to step off screen, use some additional tools that we have behind the scenes over here. I want to show you in depth what this storm looks like, where it's heading exactly for you at home so that you can prepare yourself. But right now, I can tell you if you're in western Monroe County, this is the time that you want to take shelter. If you're not in a substantial structure, if you're not in a home that's attached firmly to the ground, find the best shelter possible. If you're in a home, get in the basement, get in the lowest part of that structure, and hunker down for this storm because it does. Now, here's the latest. This severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Monroe County until 6:30. What that is that's that dark yellow shaded area that you see in parts of extreme north and west Monroe County. That's going to include Greece. That's going to include Brockport for you in Spencerport, parts of northern Rochester here up towards the Charlotte area, may even include parts of Lake Ontario out towards Irondequoit Bay. The storm is moving off in this general direction. Now, you can also see this orange shaded area. That's where the tornado warning is in effect. Now, we did have a possible sighting of a rotation near Corfu. That's in extreme southwest Genesee. That's where this storm originated. That's where the storm reached its peak intensity. Now, what that means for us is that when a tornado warning is issued on Doppler radar, it means that a strong rotation has been detected inside that storm. It may already mean that there is a tornado on the ground. Now, again, we have not had an official confirmation on this. We haven't had a confirmation from law enforcement or fire departments or from the National Weather Service itself, but we have had unofficial reports from viewers west of Rochester and parts of Genesee County that there was a potential tornado on the ground. That's something to keep in mind. That's something to add a little realism to this particular storm that's west of Rochester. Move indoors from that storm. I'm going to go over to our panel and show you some of the some additional tools with this particular storm here. Where you see that pink shaded area, that's where the storm has reached a particular intensity, what we call decibels on the radar. That's where we look for the strongest area inside that storm. And right now, that's near Brockport, north of Sweden Center. That's heading up towards Parma Center, towards Hilton near Walker, south of Kendall Mills near Murray. We'll back out from this view just a little bit and show you some other thunderstorm activity that is just off to the west of Rochester, south of Albion. That's in this particular south of Albion, just to the north of Oakfield. Now, there's Corfu. That's where that tornado warning originated initially with this group of thunderstorms. That's in extreme parts of southwest Genesee County. And we've also had a funnel cloud officially reported now at 5:06 p.m. Just getting this latest information from one of our other office meteorologists, Stacy Pengen. Thank you, Stacy. A funnel cloud was now reported by a trained weather spotter near Route 5. That was west of Batavia. Now starting to get some official confirmation that, yes, we've had a funnel cloud reported in parts of western Genesee County. In addition to that funnel cloud, we've also had some substantial here in Clarence Center, that was in Erie. Harris Hill, also in Erie County. We had a report of 1 inch hail at the Buffalo National Weather Service office. That's well west of Rochester. And also some reports of trees down in Cheektowaga, and that same report also in Niagara County. Now back over to the details. I want to put this in motion, show you where this particular thunderstorm is headed. We'll go back up into parts of Monroe County. We'll put this loop into motion for you. And this is the loop out over the last 1 hour. We'll even widen out that view just a little bit. You can see this, the progress of this storm has increased here, so that north of Brockport and heading towards the lakeshore right now. I'm going for a closer view here. We'll pick out some of the particular communities that will be affected near Parma Center. This is Route 104, this line going across the screen, the white line stretching from Gaines through Murray, near Redmond Corners. That's going up through parts of northern Monroe County. Now, this storm is headed out over the open water, so that's some good news. After this particular cell gets out over Lake Ontario, not great news out over Lake Ontario, obviously, but for us here on land, that means that storm cell will be out over water, away from many of our areas. A wider view of that radar right now shows that, yeah, we're pretty much in the clear out to the west towards Buffalo. I imagine we'll be getting substantial damage reports from parts of Genesee County where this storm system originated from, and we'll have to track those as they come in. Sometimes there's a little bit of a slowdown gaining some of that information as power is knocked out to various communities, as we have tree damage, and obviously with the funnel cloud on the ground there, it's going to take some time to get some of these damage reports here into the station. Have some photographers. I can tell you we sent some of our own crews up towards Brockport. We're going to see if we can catch that funnel cloud up there, obviously within a safe distance. We want to see if we can gather some more information. So for you at home, if you're anywhere near this storm system right now in Brockport, you can call the station here. You can call the weather line at 334-0013 for some of the latest information. You can also go to 13wham.com if you're, say, in parts of eastern Monroe County. You can get some of the latest information there, and we'll always have the latest information here on television. I'll go back to the panel now and show you some storm tracks. We'll see if we can pinpoint this down to the exact minute where it will arrive in your location. Let's storm track here from Brockport up into parts of northern Monroe County. Storm is moving at about 24 miles per hour now being reported. Again, that moves up that arrival time for you in Brockport. If you're watching, it's less than 6 minutes away. 5:52 in Brockport. That's 6:15 in Hilton, 6:17 for you in Greece, and I'm really concerned for areas of northern Monroe County near Greece. Sometimes when these storms interact with that lake breeze boundary that we have there, it can add just a little bit to the intensity on some of these storm systems as they're moving into your location. Watching another thunderstorm group develop right now south of Batavia. This is going to keep Genesee County in that severe thunderstorm warning. 6:30 this evening. Also here in Monroe County, we're under that severe thunderstorm warning until 6:30, obviously with the potential for some strong thunderstorm development. Now, it appears that the National Weather Service has now reissued the tornado warning for Monroe County. That orange that you just saw pop back onto your screen indicates that this storm is now once again intensifying. This is a very dynamic situation, everyone. Now, what that means for us, again, is that Doppler radar and maybe even the possibility of some viewers down on the ground has indicated that tornado or that funnel cloud has developed here in parts of northwest Monroe County. So you're seeing this information just as fast as I'm getting it in here on some of the computer information in parts of northwest Monroe County. Now, that dark shaded area, that white right there that you see, that indicates the possibility of reflectivity with hail, maybe 1.5 inches. I heard an unconfirmed report of meatball-sized hail in one of these thunderstorms. Now, that is some substantial hail development in this storm that can obviously cause some damage. If you're anywhere near this storm, that's the kind of hail that can crack a windshield. That's the kind of hail that if you're outside, you don't want to be anywhere near, especially with that hail dropping down out of the sky, cause some real damage. That's the kind of hail that could even break tree branches as it comes down out of the sky, the stuff that they see out in the Midwest. Now, obviously, if you're just tuning in and joining us right now, this is a dynamic situation. Tornado warning in effect for Monroe County. That's going through at least 6:30 this afternoon. And keeping up with some of the statistics here, a funnel cloud reported in Genesee County. The storm has elevated and weakened in intensity a little bit as it has moved from the southwest to the northeast across your screen here. And now right over Route 104. Travel obviously not recommended in any one of these areas off to the Rochester. Now, I want to put up a couple of graphics here that detail what we should do or should not do in this particular situation. This is tornado safety. Tornado safety, if that funnel cloud has been spotted in your area, we're talking to you now in Brockport. We're talking to you now in Hamlin, you now in Parma. take shelter in the lowest interior room, preferably your basement. Lie flat. If you have a mattress, lie flat in a tub. Put the mattress over the top of you in case that tornado or that funnel cloud goes into your area. In case any debris flies around, keep in mind windows are very weak structures out there. A 60-mile-an-hour wind could easily put out a window. Some of that debris flying around outside. You want that mattress right on top of you in case that debris starts moving around on the interior portions of your home off to the west of Rochester. If you're driving around, what you want to do is make sure that 90 degrees to the tornado. Now, it's very difficult, and this is a very strange situation to be in, but when you're looking at a tornado, it's either moving towards you or away from you, and it's very difficult to tell if it's coming at you or moving away from you. One easy way of getting yourself away from one of these storms, when you move at a 90-degree angle to it, if you look at it and you follow the movement, you can pick out the direction to go. In this case, you want to move south or north from that storm system. You want to go off to the northwest, or you want to go down to the south and southeast from this particular storm. Now, for the other areas in Orleans County, in Genesee County, in parts of eastern Monroe County, you will see some of this activity move through your area as well. So stay away from the windows. You want to stay away from the metal objects. If you have a metal shed, get indoors. If you have any type of metal around you, start to move away from that. Avoid the tall objects. Those are lightning clouds outside. Find shelters as soon as possible. That's the obvious. Shut off electronics. You don't want to stay on those too long. Avoid flooded roadways. This is a very changeable weather situation. We see very heavy downpours coming out of these storms. You don't know how deep that water is if you're trying to cross it, and obviously in a pool, stay away from that water. Let's take a look at some of the details again. We'll put this back into motion for you. We'll go back into parts of Monroe County, parts of eastern Orleans County here. Here's the loop of that motion out over the last hour again. This area that's now moving into parts of eastern Orleans County near Route 104. That's moving along pretty quickly out of the area very shortly, but this area right here moving into now parts of northern Monroe County right over Walker. Now, this is something you don't want to see on the radar right here. This is why that tornado warning has been reissued by the National Weather Service. When you see this hook right here, when you see this type of a signature on the radar, it's called a hook or a boomerang on the radar. That's a strong indication of a funnel cloud and a possible tornado. What you see this type of a signature on the radar, that means that there's a very strong rotation inside this thunderstorm right here. And you can see that part where it looks like it's weaker right there. Well, that's the center of what we call a mesocyclone. That's a horizontal rotation inside of a thunderstorm. What's happened here, that horizontal rotation has been turned into the vertical, and that has developed into that funnel cloud or that possible tornado right now over Walker, Parma Center. This really dark reflectivity here, more likely that possible hail development near Parma Center. So the storm has now moved north of Route 104. It is now moving towards the Lake Ontario shoreline. Sometimes in these scenarios, too, you get downdrafts in these thunderstorms. That's that wind gust that you feel, that cold rush of air that you feel when one of these passes through your location. That air hits the ground, it spreads out, and sometimes we get additional thunderstorm development just off some of those outflow boundaries, and I suspect that's what's enhancing some of these thunderstorms right now near Kendall Mills, also near Murray. Let's check out the lightning. Let's see what kind of lightning we're dealing with here in this storm. And it looks like some of that lightning has actually weakened for the time being. It looks like there's about maybe 15 or 20 strikes out there in the last 5 minutes. Certainly something that we're concerned about. But right now, obviously, that's not the main point of interest in some of these storm systems that are crossing the area. Let's go back out. We'll get some more information on the exact right now for you at home. We'll see when this tornado warning's in effect till. Well, we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 9 o'clock. That includes all of our counties. That includes Genesee, Livingston. You're reading it as I'm reading it. Monroe, Ontario, Orleans, also Wyoming and Yates County in our area. Let's see if we can get some additional information on this storm here itself. Rainfall rates have exceeded the possibility of at least several inches per hour in that particular storm system right there. A closer zoom of areas in extreme North and West Monroe County, right there over Parma Center. Now, this is the area, again, you want to be concerned with here. Moving up towards Manitou Beach, this little inlet right up here. This is some areas where boaters go in. This is Braddock Bay, Watoma Beach up here. This is where the storm system is heading off to. This is a very popular weekend destination here. Lots of boats up in Braddock's Bay along the Lake Ontario Parkway. Stretches all the way along the Lake Ontario shoreline there in northwest Monroe County. Now watching the additional strengthening of South of Murray for you again in Orleans County. This storm has once again started intensifying again. Let's see, down towards East Barry, Bennett's Corners, just to the north of Honest Hill there. Off to the west of Kendall Mills near Morton. Very strong rainfall being reported there. Heading off towards Braddock's Heights. May even catch Crescent Beach. It's a possibility that we could see some strong thunderstorm development for you in the Crescent Beach area if you're tuning in. Sandy Harbor Beach off to the east of your location. You'll find some development there as well. Now, further to the south, are we seeing anything? Yeah, down in Livingston County, this isn't so much of a concern right now. South of Lima, some heavy rainfall there in that yellow and orange shaded area. Just to the south of that as well, finding some additional rainfall. Nothing to the scale of what we've seen here over Monroe County. And that orange shading does indicate that we are under that tornado warning here in the area for the short term and probably for the long term. So that storm track, let's track this one in Manning. And it looks like it's heading off at about 20 miles per hour. So that additional storm for you in Brockport and for you in Hilton at 6:14 this evening. Also 6:42 for you in Hilton. The storm will head off in your location by that point. We'll take that one off the screen here. We'll retrack that thunderstorm with the possible funnel cloud in it here. And that is right now just to the south of Walker there. And it's heading off at about 21 miles per hour. Again, would be near Hilton in just under 10 minutes here at the clock I'm looking at here in the studio. Very, very changeable situation. As you can understand, this is a very, very dynamic situation for all of our audience, Edward, out there. We're going to be tracking this. We're going to stay with this. We're just going to stay on the air. We're going to stay with this storm as it's moving through northwest Monroe County, and just a situation that we're not used to here in western New York, a situation that a lot of our weather audience hasn't seen in quite some time out there.
Well, sure, and that's what Stacy was saying. I was talking to her earlier in the news office. Mark, I want to give you a break for just a moment, let you look at some of your data. We have some video that we have in from our affiliate in Buffalo, WKBW. This is some of what's been happening there as it moves west. Now, you see quite a bit of rain there. Mark touched on earlier the possibility of some flooding from some of these storms, so you want to be careful of that as you drive over these roads. You never know how deep that water is. You can see in some of those the wind pretty heavy, and this was earlier, folks, and according to Mark, this storm has increased in intensity as it heads our way. Folks in Brockport and Churchville should already be bracing for this storm to hit in that area. We're hearing the possibility of some funnel clouds. Mark, I wanted to ask you real quick, and I know Mark is getting some more information right now from Stacy Pengen, but let's talk a little bit, Mark, when you get a chance, about the intensity of this storm getting even more intense because of the lake effect. Is that right, what you were saying?
That's always a possibility with these storms, that we have that cold pool of air that sits out over the Great Lakes, and in particular, this has been a cold, wet summer here in western New York. So some of those water temperatures are much cooler than they normally would be this time of the year. Lake Ontario only in the mid or upper 60s. So what happens during a hot day like this, some hot weather like we haven't seen recently, you have this cold pool of air that rushes south from the lake, hits some of this warm, humid, light air that's over the land, and that can aid in the vertical development of some of these thunderstorms that are out there. Now, another look at the ultimate Doppler, and this is another look because we saw that funnel shape. We saw that echo that indicated almost a boomerang type shape on the ultimate Doppler radar. That was up towards Watoma Beach here. This is the Lake Ontario State Parkway. Towards, it looks like down towards areas just to the north of Spencerport there near Walker, out in northwest Monroe County. And another group of thunderstorms, again, back to the west of that. In particular, we'll track this and we'll loop it again for you. I want to keep you folks up on this. I want to keep you with us here as we go through time. And we'll put that loop into motion out over the last hour. You can see the general movement here. Anything red is severe on the radar. Anything that's showing up as pink is extreme. That's why we're tracking these storms. Now, let's go back about 3 hours ago. You can see the total movement of this storm system. That yellow box that you see pop in there, that's the severe thunderstorm warning. This area here that you're looking at is actually the low pressure center. This is that area that initially developed this thunderstorm. You look there, you see that little swirl, that counterclockwise movement on the radar. That indicates the area of low pressure that storm. We'll go back in for a closer view, and I believe we're about to start the news here in just a moment. We'll have further details on this situation here, but again, let's close in on this. If you're anywhere near northwest Monroe County, time to come in. Brockport, unfortunately, folks, I know you were just under the gun. Brockport, you are under the gun again. This storm is showing definite signs of strengthening off to the west of your location. You're going to see some heavy rainfall, the possibility of 1-inch hail once again, North County. You'll also see that possibility of 1-inch hail, and this is a situation that we will stay on top of. We'll probably come right back in when we reach news and talk about some of this on the radar again.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 Wham News at 6.
Good evening, everybody. Some heavy rain, strong winds, and some tornado warnings in western New York tonight. We have been following this storm this evening. We have some possible tornado touchdowns that we have seen in the area, some heavy rain, some hail. Meteorologist Mark McLean has been following this storm as it passes through. Mark, we're hearing already that 2 buildings in Corfu have been destroyed as a result of a possible tornado touchdown there.
Yeah, and when you look at something like that, you have to say to yourself, either it was extreme straight line winds or the funnel cloud reported at 5:06. That's probably what caused some of that destruction. Now, whether it was a wood structure, whether it was a concrete structure, we're talking about buildings being destroyed in parts of southwest Genesee County with this storm cell that's now approaching Braddock's Bay. Now, with the winds that are associated with this storm system, we could easily see some gusts over 60 miles per hour. The weakest category on a tornado, we haven't put any category, we use the Fujita scale in weather to talk about the strength of tornadoes, but the weakest scale would put it somewhere between 40 and 74 miles per hour. Now, if this was an F1, F2, we could be talking about winds greater than 80 miles per hour in magnitude. Now, I have a slew of new information coming in here. Stacy Pengen just delivered that to me. Severe thunderstorm that has the funnel cloud will be near Braddock Bay at 6:05 this evening. Winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. We were just talking about that. This storm system is moving northeast at 25 miles per hour out over Lake Ontario. Here's some of the damage reports, and then we'll start moving around on the radar, show you different views of this storm system. 1-inch hail at the National Weather Service office in Buffalo. A viewer called us in Genesee County, said we had meatball-sized hail in Genesee County. Now, that's large hail. That's the kind of hail that could definitely do some damage out there. Funnel cloud at 5:06 p.m. was reported by the National Weather Service office, and 3/4-inch hail out in the Buffalo area. Now let's take a look further at this storm system. We'll put it in motion, show you some of the lightning strikes. Let's turn on the lightning out there, see what type of lightning. Unfortunately, everyone, this storm system that was in parts of northern Monroe County was the culprit that was responsible for the tornado warning. That one has appeared to show signs of weakening now. You're watching this data as fast as it's coming into us. This is a live radar. Those sweeps that you see going across your screen indicate the live nature of this data. Brockport, unfortunately, for you again, we'll keep that tornado warning up for the Brockport area. This thunderstorm that has developed again near Brockport and redeveloped is now showing extreme signs of strengthening out towards Brockport. That's going to include the possibility of hail greater than 1 inch in size, those wind gusts well above 60 miles per hour, some flooding rainfall. You never want to cross a roadway where there's extreme rainfall. Those yellow strikes there are the latest lightning strikes coming back in, showing some redevelopment now, unfortunately, in parts of Genesee County. This is the area that was just riddled with that funnel cloud move through the Corfu area. This yellow shading you see is the severe thunderstorm warning still in effect for Genesee County right now. But look at this, west of Batavia. Also, we're watching you. We're putting you back in the loop here because along the thruway here, off to the west of Rochester, these dark reds indicating tremendous rainfall. Now, the atmosphere is just loaded with moisture. This is a tropical air mass that moved into Rochester back Tuesday night, Wednesday of this week. It's been here at home for the last 4 days. All it takes is just a cold front moving through some lake breeze boundaries here across western New York, and it does not take much to initiate thunderstorm development. Corfu is that location right there. It's very close to Darien Lake, if you've ever been out there. So unfortunately, on a Saturday afternoon, I'm sure we'll get some more reports coming in, but that is a very active area in western New York this time of the year. Let's go back out. We'll take a look at that storm system in northern Monroe County, and then I'm going to go back up to Edward here at the desk. You can see this storm once again wrapping around. Let's put that loop in motion. Let's go back out over the last hour or so. 1 hour ago, this is where the storm was. Parts of extreme north and east Genesee County. And moving off, I'm going to shut that lightning data off. We'll take a closer look here. And you can see now moving into parts of western Monroe County near Route 104. That's where the strongest activity associated with this storm is right now. And this is what we're going to be tracking right through until this tornado warning is over with, Edward.
All right, and Mark, as you mentioned earlier, we have crews out on the scene chasing these storms. We have a crew headed to Brockport. We also have a crew headed to Corfu as well to check out those buildings that were destroyed there. We're going to come back to Mark. We're going to have some tips for people if tornadoes are coming your way. You want to go to a low-lying area. Is that right, Mark? Low-lying area, flat area as well?
I definitely have a graphic for everyone that just tuned in here too as well. Take a look at some of these details. This is our tornado safety information. I'm going to grab my remote here and advance through with you. Tornado safety out there. If you ever get close to one of these storms, and I fear for areas near Brockport, starting to see the development of that type of signature on the radar again, that, yeah, we're going to see some extremely a strong thunderstorm development there again. The second round now moving through the Brockport area. Take shelter in the lowest interior room. That's preferably a basement in your house. Lie flat. You want to use a mattress to cover yourself up if possible. Now, why are you doing something like that? A mattress has a large surface area. Well, if there is any debris flying through the atmosphere, we've had 2 structures destroyed right now in southwest Genesee County. Any debris that's going along with this storm system as it goes along, any window that's been blown out, the mattress will serve as a protector for you on top of you in areas west of Rochester. Now, even if you just have to use that as a precaution, hey, let's be safe here. It's better to be safe than to be sorry. If you're driving, you don't want to try to outrun a tornado. Tornadoes can move at or above highway speeds. You may have seen the video from the early 90s of a tornado moving right down a thruway at over 80 miles per hour. Sometimes you just can't outrun these things. You want to move at a right angle from its path to try to get away from that tornado, Edward. And in this situation, it's dynamic. I know we're going to be taking a look at the radar again here in just another minute out there, but a very changeable situation when you have this type of development. We only see 4 to 6 tornadoes per year in western New York, and we'll see if we can get some confirmation from the National Weather Service on just how strong this possible tornado was.
Certainly not weather we're used to dealing with here. Mark, thank you so much. We're going to come back to Mark a little later. Like I said, folks, we have crews that are out covering this storm. We're going to bring you the latest as it comes into us. We've also been receiving calls and emails from some of our viewers telling us when they've seen possible tornadoes touching down on the ground. We want those calls and emails to continue to come in as long as you remain safe, folks. We want everybody to be safe. So if you are in one of these storm areas, like Mark said, you want to get inside, you want to get preferably to a basement, you want to lie down in the bathtub, put a mattress over you if need be. Also, in cases like this, we get a lot of people sending in pictures and videos. That is great. We would love for you to send those pictures and videos to news@13wham.com. However, please, no one go out of your way to do that, compromising your safety. We want everyone to remain safe during this storm sequence. We're going to pitch now to the break. We'll go back and we'll come back with more from Mark as these storms develop here on 13 Wham News.
Bills fans, are you ready for some football? We get the experts to break down the 2009 season.
Join us live as we go camping with the Bills.
Thursday at 7 on 13 Wham TV.
Floor sample sale going on now at Mount Morris Furniture. Save up to 70% store-wide.
Monday, it's the fascinating and revealing new hit. 6 singles will look for love in the dark.
What do you think I might look like?
Kind of like a petite blonde.
ABC's Dating in the Dark, all new Monday, 10/9 Central on ABC.
You're just moments away from your hour-by-hour planning forecast from meteorologist Mark McLean. The 13 Wham Weather Authority, certified Rochester's most accurate forecasts. Brought to you by Dorschel.com.
Monday, it's the fascinating and revealing new hit. 6 singles will look for love in the dark.
What do you think I might look like?
Kind of like a petite blonde.
ABC's Dating in the Dark, all new Monday, 10/9 Central on ABC.
Everyone, from the president on down, is committed to making cars the most successful event in automotive history. The Volkswagen Jetta TDI is one of the greenest cars in the world, listing for $23,169. Qualified buyers can purchase it for under $18,000. Most customers will qualify for $2,700 more in federal tax benefits. Now your effective cost could be under $15,000. This is the best time ever to get a new car and trust the Dorschel difference.
Some people buy a car based on the deal they get. Others buy the car of their dreams. During the Lexus Golden Opportunity sales event, you can do both. It's an opportunity today. It's a Lexus forever. Lease the 2009 ES350 for $399 a month for 36 months with $35.99 due at signing.
Sell your car for $25 on Car Soup, only on 13wham.com.
Now, Rochester's most accurate weather forecast from the 13 Wham Weather Authority, brought to you by Dorschel.com.
And we're back now. We're getting some new information in that this storm is strengthening in Monroe County near Brockport. Meteorologist Mark McLean is here with more on that. Mark.
Yeah, Edward, never happy to say something like that for an area that was just hit by a very strong thunderstorm. But what we're seeing right now is another boomerang echo on the radar, and that's the sign of some very strong winds coming out of this system right now, stretching from areas near Brockport, just to the north of Brockport. This white line that you see here is Route 104, moving along Route 104 and just to the northeast of that location. But the boomerang shape that we see right now, what indicates the strength of this particular storm system is this shape that you see right here. When you see that kind of a hook on the radar, that means that a storm is intensifying, and that is the case. Now I'm going to step off here again. We're going to use some of these tools that we have. I want to show you where this storm first is moving off to. We'll do a storm track on here, see if we can time out the arrival for some of these locations for you in Brockport. It looks like about maybe the next couple of minutes here. If you're already in parts of Brockport, north of Brockport, hey, it's already right over the top of you. This information comes in right where I put that cursor on the screen. Hilton, about 6:40 p.m. This storm is going to be heading off in your location. Now, another group of thunderstorms is again showing signs of development. That is 4 areas in Genesee County. Let's go in and do a storm track for these locations. It looks like we'll see some additional development here. Some of these storms moving along at about 20 to 25 miles per hour or so. So near Elba, near Churchville, near Brockport. Again, unfortunately, we just see the redevelopment of these storms along Lake Breeze boundary. So the Brockport area, yeah, you could be in some of this stuff once again here in Brockport. Now, I want to put this into motion here for you once again, show you where all these additional storms are heading off to. This loop will take us out over the last hour, minute by minute here, out over the last hour. The storm tracking off to the northeast, 25 miles per hour, puts most of this activity to the north of Rochester. I guess that's some good news. One of our populous areas, Greece. If you're watching from North Greece, some of these storms are going to be tracking over North Greece. Certainly the kind of storms that could knock the patio furniture over outside, do some damage to trees outside, winds greater than 60 miles per hour as these storms begin to move across. But Brockport there, that extreme dark red, that extreme pink color, that indicates some very strong redevelopment on some of these storms here as we go through time. Now, what you see up here, the orange shading indicates that all of Monroe County is under a tornado warning, and that's going to go indefinitely until these funnel appearances in these clouds start to go away. Now, a severe thunderstorm warning is in effect for Monroe County as well till 6:30. That's some of this darker yellow shading. Orleans County, yeah, you're still in the severe thunderstorm warning, but right now it's just those areas in extreme south and east Orleans County that we're concerned about, and back through parts of Genesee County. Folks, don't be surprised if you see another tornado warning pop up for parts of extreme eastern Genesee County. The atmosphere is very unstable. When you have this kind of development, lots of vertical motion in the atmosphere, we're going to see some additional strong thunderstorm development here, Edward, as we go through time.
Mark, we've been talking about how unique this sort of weather is for our area. When was the last time we saw tornadoes?
Well, it's very unlikely. Again, maybe 4 to 6 per year in New York State. We average over 1,000 per year in the United States. Last time a tornado moved through downtown Rochester was where Nick Tahoe's is in downtown Rochester, right along Lyle Avenue. It was 1932, the last time that a tornado moved through the city limits of Rochester. Now, I'm not saying that that's happening right now. I'm saying what we have is a funnel cloud that has appeared on radar. We're seeing boomerang echoes indicating extremely strong atmospheric to surface winds coming down across the area, maybe in excess of tornado strength for many of these areas in northwest Monroe County. So you have to go back, what is that, 68 plus 9? That puts us up to 77 years ago, last time, a lifetime since we've seen anything even close to this here in the Rochester area.
All right, I think we're going to go to the break now. Mark, we're going to come back with more from you.
Okay.
Everybody stay with us. We're just going to go weather full out. The rest of the newscast, we'll be right back with Mark McLean.
Neighborhood weather reports are made possible by Isaac Heating and Air Conditioning. 13 Wham News, brought to you by Geico.
It's right here. It's easy. It's the money you could be saving with Geico.
Everyone, from the president on down, is committed to making cars the most successful event in automotive history. The Volkswagen Jetta TDI is one of the greenest cars in the world, listing for $23,169. Qualified buyers can purchase it for under $18,000. Most customers will qualify for $2,700 more in federal tax benefits. Now your effective cost could be under $15,000. This is the best time ever to get a new car and trust the Dorschel difference.
Fiber One. I'm looking for some fiber.
This bar is an excellent source of fiber.
There's no fiber in there. It tastes too good.
There is fiber.
Yeah. I can't taste the fiber, just chocolate.
They are 35% of your daily value.
Oh, samples.
Autobahn, Wackenstrubel.
Fiber One Chewy bars. Cardboard, no. Delicious, yes.
Right now, buying a Toyota makes more sense than ever. You get the quality you can depend on. You can take advantage of unprecedented selection, and Toyota has many attractive leases available too. Now you can get $1,000 cash back on a rugged 2009 Toyota Tacoma Double Cab, or get into Toyota's solid workhorse, the 2010 Toyota Tundra, and get 2.9% financing for an amazing 60 months. Where can you find great cars, great leases, and great deals? Your Toyota dealer.
All right, back now with meteorologist Mark McLean. Mark, we're seeing some weather we haven't seen in, you said, nearly 80 years in our area. We're seeing colors on that radar behind you we don't normally see. What's the latest now?
Oh, there's two possibilities there, Edward, and we do have some more information here to get to in just a minute, but I wanted to show you some colors on radar that we don't normally see. We've crossed all the way to the top of what we call the decibel threshold on the radar, about 75 to 80 decibels of return. Now, that either indicates two things. It's possible that this is an extremely heavy rainfall greater than 5 inches per hour in this area here, or this indicates the possibility of hail that may be greater than 1.5 inches or 2 inches in size. Now, I'm leaning towards the second of those two features right there. Sometimes hail fools the radar into believing that it's a heavy rainfall event when in fact it's actually a hail event right now in parts of western Monroe County, just to the north and east of Brockport. We're just highlighting this area right now. There is additional thunderstorm development southwest. We'll get to that in just a minute. Wanted to pass along that this thunderstorm right here will be near Hilton at 6:25. This is from the National Weather Service near Braddock Bay by 6:30 this evening. I'm hearing chime in my ear right now indicating that another severe event has occurred. Funnel cloud spotted in the area west of Batavia near Corfu. That was at 5:06 this evening. Now, I want to put the radar into motion here, and then I'll give you a look at our forecast here, and I do believe we will see some improvement there through time. I guess that's the good news, if there is any in this situation. If you're watching from areas in southeast Monroe County, you're probably wondering, what is he talking about right now? There is just not much going on there, and I guess that's some good news, too, for you folks watching in areas south and east of Rochester right now. Not saying that this kind of development isn't possible for you. It is possible. But what we're seeing right now is the redevelopment of some storms near the Batavia area. Obviously, travel on the thruway is going to be treacherous when you have that kind of a blinding downpour. Again, keep it moving out there. Use the flippers. If you have to travel off to the west of Rochester, I know we had one viewer called us and was wondering about a graduation party out there. If you're heading out that direction, this is the kind of evening where you want to give yourself some extra time, if at all, to make that journey to go off to areas west of Rochester. Look at this. Look at this particular cell here near Walker, near Parma Center. That's the one that has produced some extreme weather right now. Severe thunderstorm warning, getting some new information until 7 o'clock. The Weather Service has now extended the severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Genesee County, for north central Livingston County. I know this broadcast probably isn't what you're used to watching here at 6 o'clock, but we're going to give you this information as it comes in, even if it seems a little bit scattered at times, jumping around. Monroe County, western Monroe County, this is until 7 o'clock. At 6:16, what we're seeing on the radar, nickel-sized hail now being reported in some of these areas, damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Storms moving along a line that extends about 5 miles north, 7 miles south of Batavia. That's a whole nother group of thunderstorms that we just looked at southwest of Rochester. Doppler radar is still indicating weak rotation, and the Weather Service is stressing this part right now, and that's why this tornado warning is still in effect for Monroe County. National Weather Service still talking about weak rotation within these storms. While not immediately likely, a tornado could still develop in northern Monroe County. Now, if a tornado is spotted, you want to act quickly. You want to move to a place with inside of a sturdy structure. Dial 911. We need to have this information for everybody. If you're out there, folks listen to radio, folks watch television. You can get the latest information on your cell phone, 334-0013. Another one of our meteorologists, Stacy Pengen, right now is updating that constantly back in the weather office with all of this information here, where you can also watch the Ultimate Doppler radar here at 13wham.com. But right now, Edward, this is the storm we're talking about. You can see this crawl going at the bottom of the screen. That red box indicates a tornado warning in Monroe County.
And Mark, you mentioned the importance of getting this information out to everyone in the viewing area. And we've had some viewers that have been sending us pictures of what's going on around them. If we could take some of these pictures, we have a couple. Here's one picture, the clouds developing. This is in the Rochester area there. That's sent from a viewer. The next picture was taken from the thruway, also of some of these clouds that are moving into the area, getting a little more severe. I guess we don't have that picture. Mark, I'm going to let you go to your information center right quick, and we have the mayor of Corfu on the phone right now. Mayor, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hi, sir. Tell us, if you can, the extent of damage down there, and did you actually see a tornado touch down in Corfu?
I did not personally see the tornado. I have not seen the extent of the damage. The tornado did hit on the east side, well, what was called the tornado, on the east side of the village. We are at a staging point in the heart of the village waiting for National Grid to cut the major power lines so that myself, my crews, and the fire department can go up to assess the amount of damage.
And sir, we've heard that at least two buildings, two structures were destroyed in this storm. Can you talk about that and what those structures were? Were they homes or businesses?
I was told that our greenhouse type building, pretty large-sized building, is totally gone. And I can't confirm that because I have not seen that. But the building, that building and the building beside that, kind of a large structure, barn structure type building, was also leveled completely.
And Mayor Skeet, we have Mayor Todd Skeet on the phone. Mayor, are those structures near heavily populated areas, or is this out in rural areas? Lots of people around these?
It's in our village, right in it's in the village limits, so the housing and the building are very close together in that area.
And do you know if anyone has been injured in any of this?
I'm standing here in dispatcher in the county emergency center right here in the village, and nobody has been hurt. There's been some minor injuries, is what I should say. Some scrapes and cuts and bruises is what I was told, but nothing major at this time.
And Mayor, what are you telling folks down there to do? All the people living down there, working down there, where's everybody going? Or are people still in their homes?
Right now, people that have been evacuated have been taken to the Corfu Fire Hall. The village, right in the heart of the village, is
calling your fire police.
Hang on one second. Pardon?
They want you calling your policeman. Anybody can get in there.
Okay. All right, I'm back, sir. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Is there a warning you have to tell somebody? Is that what I was hearing there?
Yeah, well, they want me to call in all available police officers that I have at this moment. There's also a lot of Darien Lake traffic coming through the village, and obviously the village is in no shape to be taking on any additional traffic at this time.
Right. And Mr. Mayor, it sounds like you have your hands full. I'm going to let you go in just a second. Can you talk to me, though, when was the last time, if at all, you saw weather like this in your area down there?
Sir, I missed that. Could you say that again?
Well, I was just asking, with all the devastation that's going on right now in Corfu, when was the last time you all saw weather like this, if ever?
About 2 years ago, we had an October storm that came through, and pretty much leveled the village. But that was the whole village was hit with the storm. This was more in about like a 500-yard area. It was a perfect line. You could stand in this area and look both like south and north and see what this line storm did. It just leveled every tree, everything in its path.
Wow.
So it's kind of concentrated just to this one area. I'm just, thank God nobody's hurt.
Thank goodness for that. Mr. Mayor, you all are bringing in, you said, extra personnel, extra police officers as well, and we should probably tell everyone, do not head toward your direction if you're going toward Darien Lakes, correct?
That would be great.
Okay, all right. Mayor Todd Skeet from Corfu on the phone with us. Mayor, thank you so much. I know you have a lot to do. We'll let you get back to your duties down there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please be safe. All right, we're going to go back now to meteorologist Mark McLean, who has an update as he continues to track this storm. Mark.
Now, Edward, we're going to take a look at the forecast here in Rochester, but before we do that, go back to the ultimate Doppler radar on the live scan and show you the exact positioning of some of these storms across the area. I want to show you just to the south of Watoma Beach, just to the off to the east of Walker now. This is approaching Braddock's Bay. That's Braddock's Bay right there, a very popular weekend spot for boaters on Lake Ontario coming into that area. This is what's called a hook on the radar, indicating an extremely strong thunderstorm. And that's why that tornado warning continues still for Monroe County, the possibility of a funnel cloud. Now, we're going to go to areas southwest. Again, I'm going to step off the camera, use a few of our additional tools that we don't normally use in a particular broadcast through what you'd normally see. But just south of Pumpkin Hill, off to the west of Bergen right now. That's where this strong storm is heading off to. This is the thruway, what you see right here through parts of central Genesee County. Want to pass on to you folks down in Livingston County. We're not forgetting about you, and I know you don't want to be included in some of this severe weather, but in extreme north and west parts of Livingston County, a lot of farmland in here just to the north of York. That area is now under a severe thunderstorm warning. South of Attica, I suspect that some of this thunderstorm activity will redevelop. And let's stretch out here. We'll take a broader view of the radar. I want to show you this line and what's going on and why is this all happening right now. There's a lake breeze in between the two lakes, and this time of the day, the peak heating of the day, this time of the year, the peak heating in the middle of summer, what we have not seen this year, lots of heat. Well, sometimes you get lake breeze boundaries, and you can see it stretching just from the southwest to the northeast across the screen. This has served as a boundary with a weak trough of low pressure in the atmosphere. These ingredients all came together this afternoon to produce extremely strong thunderstorm development across western New York. Now, that area that we were just talking about, we were talking to the mayor there. That's down here. Now we're going to go in for a closer look down there. We'll take a look at some of those areas. Are we going to see some more thunderstorm development? Well, it's a possibility. Right now, most of that is passing off just to the south of those areas. There's Corfu. This is where that location was, just off to the east of Corfu there. Now, heading just a little bit further to the east along the thruway and north of the thruway near, again, Bergen, just to the west of Chili. Folks, if you're watching us, let's do a storm track for you. Let's see when this intense storm is going to be moving into your location. It looks like maybe the next few minutes here. The 7:13 for this next round at Spencerport, 7:27 in Hilton, 7:28 in Greece, and I suspect for you in Chili much sooner than that, probably around 6:40 p.m. for some of that activity to move through your particular location. This is the strongest activity. This orange shaded area that you see right here that stretches through Walker, this is that tornado warning. This is the area that the Weather Service says you may see the funnel cloud. You may see a funnel cloud reach the ground and become a tornado in this area. Right now, that strongest cell right along the Lake Ontario shoreline, moving across the parkway. Now, this is the kind of storm where if it develops, the blinding rainfall coming down, you just can't drive through it. It's the one where you want to pull off to the side. Not a great idea if you're out there, but if you ever get stuck in one of these storms, keep it moving slowly. You put the wipers on, you'll get through it. Never pass through water that's deeper or deep at all in flooding situations. You just don't know how deep that is. The Weather Service has a slogan that they use. It is turn around, don't drown. That's the National Weather Service slogan, turn around, don't drown. You just don't know how deep the water is out there. All right, let's take a look at the forecast. This is the forecast half an hour into what we've been talking about here. Stay away from the windows, thunderstorm safety. Avoid the tallest objects. I think this thunderstorm activity that we're seeing out there is going to be winding down probably after 7:15, 7:30 for the hardest hit areas. Now, for everyone else, that severe thunderstorm watch continues until about 9 o'clock this evening. Shut off the electronics. You want to be inside, out of the pool. Obviously, that's a given. Planning forecast says at 7 o'clock, 78 degrees, strong thunderstorms possible. Given the activity that we've seen, I think that forecast is going to pan out through 10 o'clock, 73 degrees. Storms start to move east of Rochester, and we get a little break through the overnight. Now, the actual cold front that's going to be moving through on Sunday, that may give us some additional problems on Sunday. We'll be back here tomorrow to talk about those thunderstorms if they do develop. It looks like the early afternoon tomorrow could be tricky once again here in Rochester. 8 a.m. tomorrow. It's a rain-free start. We're at 71 degrees. This is the 7-day forecast. Let's go through this briefly and then get back to that radar quickly. 81 for your Monday, partly sunny skies. 85 with scattered thunderstorms back in the forecast. Late Tuesday night into Wednesday, I think we get 2 rain-free days, or mainly rain-free days on Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, thunderstorms back in there, maybe even lasting into early Thursday at 80 degrees, and then Friday and Saturday from the upper 70s back into the middle 80s out there. And back to the radar. Let's take another quick look at these storms, and then we'll get an update from Edward if he has any on some of the activity that's been developing from a news standpoint across the area. There's that storm. Some of the strongest activity now well out over Lake Ontario, the pink shading there indicating the center of that storm. For you in Brockport, believe it or not, this is round 3 moving through right now. Let's take another look at some of that activity there, lay on some of the lightning strikes, if any. We'll even take a look at a storm report there. There's a cluster of lightning activity there with that one storm in northern Monroe County there. That's just off to the west of Irondequoit Bay over here in the center of your screen. So safe for the time being, but yeah, you want to move indoors. Churchville, it's headed towards you. Right now in West Bergen, there's a fresh lightning strike. That's Route 490 west of Rochester. 490 may actually become impassable at times due to some of this heavy rainfall moving through in the next 5 or 10 minutes. We'll go north of there, back into parts of western Monroe County, Brockport on the center of your screen, and going a little bit closer than that, you can see Route 104, Spencerport, areas west of Spencerport near Adams Basin. That's the canal that goes through that area. That's where we're seeing some of the heavy rain now. We'll go south of there, just north of Morganville, a small community down there that is seeing that thunderstorm now moving away from your location. That's good news. Batavia, yeah, you're okay for the time being, but just to the south of there, now down into parts of Wyoming County, starting to see near Attica some storms that may approach the severe limit here shortly. And then southwest of there, this is southern Erie County. I'll back you out and give you your perspective back here. Starting to see that Lake Erie, Lake Breeze line fire up once again down to the southwest in some of those locations, but some fresh lightning strikes coming in. And hey, Edward, this is probably some of the best news that we've had recently. Yeah. The tornado warning is now off the screen. Not saying that we won't get any more tornado warnings here, but now we're just down to severe thunderstorm warnings, which is still a severe situation out there. Not seeing the tornado warning. Again, this information all coming at you folks as fast as it's coming at me right here in our weather center.
Good news about the tornadoes.
Yes.
And of course some good tips there, Mark, about staying safe in these tough thunderstorm situations. We have some video that is fresh in from our crew that we sent out to Brockport earlier today. We'll take that video now. Is that we have it now? Let's go to that video from our crew in Brockport. We do not have that. Okay, we'll come back to that. But we do have some pictures that some people have been sending in to us, some of our viewers. We do encourage you to continue sending those pictures, any cell phone video that you might have. You can send it to news@13wham.com. Take a look at this ominous storm cloud there. This received, I believe, from the Thruway, near the Thruway. Some folks down there took this picture and sent it in to us. We have another picture of some clouds forming in the Rochester area. Not quite as ominous as these clouds here, but it's an indication of what is heading our way. Now, from what we understand, this is from Corfu. This video right there, you see the funnel cloud there in the middle of your screen. And we did have reports that a tornado had actually touched down. We spoke with the mayor of Corfu, Todd Ski, earlier. He said they are evacuating people to shelter down there. They are still trying to get a handle on all of the chaos going on around this. 2 buildings at least have been destroyed. I mean, Mark, look at that photo right there. Yeah. That's a tornado.
Yeah, that's proof positive. Now you can't see the extreme base of that right there, but let's leave that picture up. Can we go back to that one photo there? Yeah. Let's stay with that one for just a second. You can see just to the tree line there, and north of that, that's obviously the funnel center right there. Oh, what we would call a mesocyclone that turns into a vertical development there, a funnel cloud, then reaching the ground, and that turns into the tornado. And if that is in fact touching the ground, folks, that is proof positive that at 5:06 this afternoon, that National Weather Service spotter in Corfu reporting a tornado. If that is in fact the case, it looks like that's proof positive right there that we have in fact had a tornado in our 8-county area here in Rochester that we forecast for off to the west of Rochester. Now back a couple of photos. I think it was 2 photos before this. I want to show you another indicator. If you see something like this coming at you, if we can back up just a couple of those photos, one more back from that one right there, you'll see this dark wall in this photo that was just before this one that we had. That was the other photo. The first photo that we had was just a dark wall up there, and you could see this wall coming. That's it right there. Now, when you see something like that, this is the precursor for that picture where you saw the funnel cloud. Now, you see something like that rolling through your neighborhood. This is the universal sign for get indoors as soon as possible out there. You don't want to mess around in a situation like this. Sometimes time can be short. It's never a given that a tornado warning will be issued before a tornado actually occurs. In fact, some of the statistics that go along with that dictate that you'll only get about a 5-minute warning for a funnel cloud that's possibly turning into a tornado. Now back to the radar. We can put up the ultimate Doppler radar once again. If you want to keep up with this at home, you can go to 13wham.com and watch the radar out there. But this is a view of that radar. You see southwest and areas west of Rochester. There's a couple of circulation centers that we're watching right now. That dark red area, the first area, is right on that border between Monroe County, between Genesee County, that area right there. Looks like that's a particularly strong thunderstorm development right now. The strongest thunderstorm is actually out over Lake Ontario. That was the one that produced that tornado warning out over Lake Ontario. Now down to our southwest, right along 490. That's where 490 meets the thruway north of Fort Hill there, north of Leroy. You probably know that destination a little bit better. Starting to move into that area. You can see that newest data coming in showing that heavy rain now moving on to 490 in that location. Southwest there near Alexander, near Attica. This area is under the gun right now. Lots of heavy rainfall, probably some hail in that pink center there that you see centered up over Attica, that indicator right there. Really right over downtown locations there, right in center parts of Attica. Back up to West Greece, some heavy rain now in areas just west of Spencerport. That's Route 31 on your screen, that white line going from Spencerport back to Brockport. Route 19 right now in Brockport, could be some flooding along that route. We've had extremely hefty rainfall. Route 104 east and west from the Orleans County line back towards Parma Center. Again, you may encounter flooding in any of these areas. We've had 3 rounds of thunderstorms that have crossed areas of western Monroe County. If you do encounter one of those areas where the rain has been particularly heavy, you see some water standing on the roadway, just don't cross it, Edward. That's the best advice that we have for everyone. We will be tracking all these thunderstorms here for the rest of the evening. We'll have break-ins to some of the programming. We'll have newest data coming in. And if there is, in fact, any more tornado warnings, we'll talk about that as well.
And we're going to stay with everybody, Mark. We do have some new video in. This is from a thruway rest stop off the thruway at Pembroke. Now take a look at that. There you see a funnel cloud starting to form. Not quite touching the ground though yet, Mark. We're seeing there. This is just taken not that long ago from Andy Dickinson, one of our viewers. We've been telling viewers all evening, you all help us cover this better by sending in information, pictures, video, as long as you stay safe, everybody. So what are we looking at right there, Mark? I mean,
you see that funnel cloud right there, and he's got it centered up on the screen right now. Now, one of the unusual parts about funnel cloud and tornado development, funnel clouds and tornadoes drop down out of the backside of thunderstorms. So when you see this type of development, you see the sunshine out there. A lot of times you'll see a rainbow. The rain will stop on the backside of these thunderstorms.
So it starts to look a little better before you see those funnel clouds.
Exactly, and then these drop down on the backsides of thunderstorms, and that's why it's so particularly hazardous, because many times you think that storm is passing away from your location, and in fact that's when that tornado, that's when that funnel cloud starts to drop down. Now what we just saw on that video right there was a funnel cloud. You cannot call a funnel cloud a tornado until that activity actually reaches the ground.
And Mark, you know, it goes to speak to, you might think you're past it. You might think you're in the clear by the time these funnel clouds start to form. I want to go back to that video again. This is video taken from Pembroke at a thruway rest stop by Andy Dickinson, one of our viewers. Viewers, please do send us any information, pictures, video that you have of these storms in the area. You can send those to news@13wham.com. We're going to run you through this video, and we also want to take a look at some of the pictures that have also been sent in by our viewers. As I said earlier, we also have crews out covering this storm. We have a crew in Brockport. They say it is raining and beginning to rain quite heavily there in Brockport. So you're going to see possibly things intensify as it moves through Brockport. We talked to the mayor of Corfu earlier, Mayor Todd Skeet down there. And you see right there, these are pictures from Corfu, I believe. Yeah, these are pictures from Corfu. We had reports of a tornado touching down there. There has been considerable destruction in Corfu. 2 buildings destroyed in areas that were populated toward the center of the village. Right?
I think this is a picture, and sorry to interrupt you
there.
there.
That's okay.
This may be a picture looking away from is that Darien Lake, maybe? Extreme areas southwest? Darien, yeah, that's Lake, Darien Center, Darien Lake down there. Now, on a Saturday afternoon, imagine at 5 o'clock in the afternoon,
the
peak
people
heating.
In that,
This is a bad time for one of these to be dropping down out of the sky. And that lake breeze from Lake Erie is what initiated all this. But that is definitely, right there, that is definitely a tornado. Looks to be, and hate to generalize about this type of thing, but maybe an F0, maybe an F1 with winds up to 100 miles an hour, maybe.
And we're going to take a look at some more video. But, Mark, let's talk a little bit about distinguishing the strength of these storms and these tornadoes, because, as Mark said, there are different ratings depending on the intensity of the storm, the intensity of the tornado. You're looking at videos also sent to us by one of our viewers. You see that wall of dark clouds there heading in our direction, believed to be. We continue to monitor these storms. We've been talking about some safety tips. If you find yourself in a severe thunderstorm or tornado situation, you of course want to seek shelter. You do not want to be out in this, folks. You see folks driving there, I believe, on the thruway. You don't want to be out on these roads. And if you are and you see a tornado heading your way, or just a funnel cloud that could turn into a full-out tornado, you want to head to the nearest overpass. Get under that overpass, and Mark is back with a few more details about some of the intensity and how you differ the intensity based on the strength of these storms.
Well, the National Weather Service is going to send out a storm survey team tomorrow, Edward. And what they're going to do, they're going to look for 2 things. They're going to look and say, well, was this a situation where everything was blown down in a straight line? And if that was the case, then that's straight line wind damage. Now, when you see pictures and videos like this coming in from viewers, obviously the second part of that is for the National Weather Service storm survey team to go out there, and they want to look for this counterclockwise rotation that could have put debris in a semicircle around a particular area that got hit by one of these storms. So when they go out and they see in that area near Corfu, near Darien Lake there, like you just saw, they'll look for trees blown over in a certain direction. If a tree is blown over, say, this way, and another one blown over this way towards you, then you'll know that there's a circular pattern of damage. This is what the National Weather Service is going to look for. Now, the third part of this is how far did these objects go? And that's when they'll estimate what the actual strength of this system was. So if these objects, say these 2 buildings that were destroyed or suspected destroyed near Corfu, if these objects went a few hundred feet, you could say that the storm had a certain wind speed, or if these objects only went a few feet out there, you could say that it's possible that it was maybe only an F0 or an F1 tornado.
And Mark, as people have noticed, we've gone over our 6:30 cutoff time. This is a special newscast we're bringing because of the intensity of these storms. Let's talk a little bit about some of these warnings that are still out there until 7 o'clock, 7:15.
Yeah, and the National Weather Service has just extended some of these warnings across the area. So where we're seeing this brightest yellow color, this is areas near southeast Orleans County. This still includes Genesee County. You can see Bergen there. I really centered in on Churchville to show folks at home in Churchville right now. It probably seems extremely intense right now with this thunderstorm right over the top of you. Lots of lightning strikes. Those are the strikes in the last 5 or 10 minutes or so here. Now moving into areas north and east from there. We'll go into central parts of Monroe County. And unfortunately, I'll step off here. I'll show you that storm track, show you where some of this stuff is actually heading off to. It looks like Greece is going to get hit again with some of these storms. This is an extremely intense storm here. National Weather Service still has that severe thunderstorm warning up until 7 o'clock. Those yellow strikes that you see Now, some of this technology here in the forecast center allows us to see lightning strikes and some of this radar data as they're occurring. We put this ultimate Doppler view right here at 13wham.com. All you have to do is load it up. You can set it there and watch it. We'll update. All you have to do is hit the loop button. You'll be able to track the storm. In fact, I'll hit the button. You can do this here at home with me on your computer if we're ever not on with you. Just hit this button, put it into motion, southwest to northeast across the area. And folks, you can go through this with me here too. You're sitting in Greece right now. You see this type of development. You know that you're next here. You know that that severe thunderstorm warning is going to be up for you. It's time to come back inside, and it's time to really get ready for the next round of storms about to pass through the area here, Edward.
They keep coming at us, Mark, and you were saying if we go off air, a lot of people, we heard from the mayor in Corfu saying that they're trying to get power shut off down there. Weather radio is key in this sort of situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. The telephone, another thing to keep in mind, the cell phone towers, sometimes they don't have backup power. The landlines out there, most of the time the landlines for the telephones, unless they're physically broken, sometimes those will still work, but obviously these reports are still going to trickle in through the rest of the evening here. If you have power out, there's tree damage blocking some main roadways out there. We've had extremely heavy rainfall. It's a possibility that some of these roadways will be flooded out from some of these heavy thunderstorms that were moving across the area. In one of these situations, it takes time for us to get the information. You can always call your emergency responders at 911, pass this information on to the police department or the fire department. They will immediately notify everyone that needs to know about these storms across the area. And the National Weather Service office, they're located out in Buffalo. It takes a little bit of time for that information to trickle over to them. A lot of this has moved towards the internet in recent years.
And Mark, a lot of this is happening west of us, but I've been checking on my laptop and computer here just at flights at the airport, just in case. For everyone out there wondering about that, it seems to be doing okay at the airport. All flights running on time, still en route. Here are some more photos we have from some of our viewers. This from Corfu as well. We're hearing Corfu is where we have been seeing these funnel clouds and possibly some tornadoes actually touching down. Extensive damage to some buildings in the village of Corfu. We spoke to the mayor, and we have more pictures. We can just go through those as I'm talking, guys. We've heard from Mayor Todd Skeet down in Corfu saying that they have an emergency situation on their hands there. They're asking people not to drive through that area if you are heading toward places like Darien Lake. They also have had some minor injuries in Corfu because of these storms. They're evacuating people from their homes, sending them to safe shelter. They're calling in more in Corfu. So that is definitely one of the spots where we are seeing some true destruction and damage from these storms and from some possible tornadoes that have been touching down. And just look at these pictures, folks. I mean, this is really it. We're getting this from our viewers, and like I said earlier, we can cover these things much better with the help of our viewers. Pictures like these, video, if you have video capability on your cell phone, please do send those things in. You can send them to news@13wham.com. Now, this is Greece. Take a look at this wall of clouds that is moving into Greece. And Mark just said a moment ago, for all of our viewers in Greece, you should be bracing right now for some severe thunderstorms moving through that area. You'll want to find shelter in a safe place. Stay away from those windows. Debris can be around, so you do not want to be outside. If you're on the road, well, you wouldn't be on the road if you're listening to television, but if you know someone who's out on the road, you might want to call them on the cell phone and tell them they need to seek shelter as well. That wall of thunderstorms moving toward the Greece area, so you'll be hitting it again. Brockport also has been seeing some severe weather out of this, the Churchville area as well. We have crews in Brockport and another crew heading to Corfu to report on the damage there. Now, Mark is back. He's got some more updates on the track of this storm, right?
Yeah, and a little bit of a hindrance for the folks out there in Corfu. Again, this is in parts of western Genesee County. We are seeing additional thunderstorm developments. How does this happen? How do we get into one of these scenarios where we just see round after round after round of thunderstorms? It's the outflow boundaries from these storms. Now imagine this storm right here. It has winds that are coming down out of that storm, 80, 100, 120 miles per hour down towards the ground. Now that wind hits the ground, it spreads out in several different directions, and where that air hits that warm, humid air, you can have additional thunderstorm development. Now, oftentimes that happens on a lake breeze boundary like Lake Erie. What we're seeing stretching through Attica right now through Alexander, there's Corfu. Now the emergency responders are out there trying to assess damage, trying to get power back on. Folks, it may take some time. If you're listening in right now in some of the reports, some of this going on right now, when you have additional strong storms moving into the area, this shows heavy rainfall right now. There may be some lightning in there as well. It's going to take some time for these emergency responders to start cleaning up the area. I wanted to bring you back into another area. It's in Monroe County. We'll go up to the northeast from there. We'll take a look at some of those storms. We'll center back up on Rochester and crossing 490, the heaviest rain and possibly some of that hail in the center of your screen there near Churchville. This is where that storm is strong. Let's track that. Looks like this one with its movement off to the northeast here. And we may find some additional development here in Spencerport, Greece, and Rochester. You can see the times up there on your screen may actually occur just slightly before that, estimated that speed at about 20 miles per hour here. And the storm is actually moving southwest to northeast at about 25 miles. Here's some tornado facts. I know this doesn't happen very often in Rochester. We talked a little bit ago that the last time we saw a tornado in the city limits of Rochester was 1932. That was down Lyle Avenue where Wegmans is on Lyle Avenue, near Nick Tahoe's on Lyle Avenue, just across where 390 is there on Lyle Avenue. It's estimated that there's 1,000 tornadoes per year in the United States. How many do we see here in New York State? 4 to 6. Now, of those 4 to 6, to get those up this far north into Rochester, north of the New York State Thruway, is very rare. We very rarely even find funnel clouds north of the New York State Thruway. Now, only 2% of those tornadoes there, and you can do the quick math, are rated an F4 or F5 tornado. The F5 category, that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about F2, F3, F4, F5 tornadoes that knock over everything. Those are the kinds that just cause widespread devastation and destruction. When you get up to this category here, you're really into some problems. These storms that we had here, a little bit weaker than that. There's that storm center right now centered up over Chili, and you can see that storm center there moving to the south, from southwest to northeast. We'll put that loop in motion. This is the loop of this activity out over the last hour, and no surprise that Lake Erie breeze is the culprit. You see some of those lightning strikes building up again, moving into Monroe County. Now, Rochester, I know the city of Rochester has been spared from a lot of this activity, but look at the last, say, 10 or 15 minutes of this 1 hour loop here moving into Rochester. Yeah, we're going to get a thunderstorm downtown. It's going to be a briefly strong thunderstorm. We still have that severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 7 o'clock here this evening, and we still have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect for all of New York until 9 o'clock tonight. Now, folks, I want to stress that, yeah, we're going to see some improvement here. It's going to take some time, but probably after that 9 o'clock threshold, we're going to be in better shape here. Back to the west from there, some additional thunderstorm development in parts of Niagara County, parts of North and West Genesee County, down towards Wyoming County, southeast from there into parts of Ontario and Wayne County. Yeah, not too much going on. You're watching the report now, and you're saying, well, where? Well, just wait. Off to the west, some of these storms still pretty strong, but one thing in our favor right now, Edward, one thing that always works well, working against the thunderstorms, is the timing. Right now, it's 6:52 on our clock here in the studio, and as that sun starts to go down, it's taking fuel away from these storms. We still have that lake breeze out there. It's still serving as that mechanism for the development of these storms along that line, southwest to northeast. But as that sun starts to go down, we will find some of these storms weakening through the rest of tonight.
Definitely some good news there. And we have some more reports, like you were saying, Mark, Spencerport, Greece, Rochester, some of those areas should be bracing for some severe rain heading their way. Said transportation, you shouldn't be out in those cars, folks, in this kind of weather. Now, we have not heard any reports from the airport that any flights have been canceled or delayed because of this weather. The storm not really in that area, but it could affect flights. But as we're seeing right now from the airport, no flights affected. We're also trying to find out how many people are without power. We heard from the mayor in Corfu saying that they're actually trying to get the power turned off in certain areas of that town for safety reasons. They have had some minor injuries down there from some funnel clouds and some possible tornadoes that have touched down. This is some video. We're just now getting in to the news center right now. Some heavy rain coming down. I'm not sure where this video is coming to us from, but I know it's from one of our viewers. We're beginning to get more pictures like this from our viewers. Again, we can tell the story of this storm activity better with your help. You can send your pictures and video to news@13wham.com. And as these storms continue to move through, folks, and if there are more instances of tornadoes or possible tornado sightings, you'll want to remember to go to a low-lying area, preferably the basement. You'll want to get out of the way of windows. You don't want to be near windows. Blowing debris could come through some of those windows. If you wind up in a bathtub, in a flat area like that, you can do that, but you'll want to have something on top of you, like Mark said, perhaps a mattress that can shield any flying debris that may be coming your way. These storms just keep coming at us, folks. The intensity is going up and down, up in many cases, as it heads into many of the parts of the viewing area. And we continue to get these, and you see some clouds there over the lake. A lot of this storm is heading up to the lake, but the wind off the lake is also fueling it and intensifying the storm here on land in the Rochester area. And here's a look. This is down at Corfu, looking off toward Darien, we believe, Darien Lake. This is Darien Lake right there. So you can see a funnel cloud down there at this time of day. We certainly hope we don't see any severe injuries out of this, Mark.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that, with thousands of people out there and the camping that they have out there as well. Just one more graphic. We'll take a look at the radar after this. Wanted to just keep in mind that with each one of these storms, we have lightning too. 54% of lightning deaths in weather occur in open fields. Baseball, golf, unfortunately out there, if you're in any of those activities, you're wide open to these storms. 23% under trees. The tree not offer the protection it does from the rainfall, but it does not from the lightning. That lightning comes down, it seeks out the tall objects out there. You become the target with the tree if you decide to do that. 12% is in beach and boating, and you see these pictures coming in from Lake Ontario, from these wide open areas where everyone can go up there and snap the pictures as those storms are moving out over those locations. Yeah, it's a great place to go and take a look at these storms, but you have to keep in mind that if you're close enough to hear the thunder, you're close enough to get struck by the lightning. That's another thing to remember here in weather. 7% in farming, unfortunately, just out there in the work, and 4% other, and not knowing what that category would hold for us. Ultimate Doppler radar right now still shows the latest on our strongest thunderstorms now moving towards. I'm hearing the chime, again, from some of our weather information. Another warning may be coming in here in just a few minutes, folks, but moving southwest to northeast, up towards the Greece area. We do have that particular storm, and it looks like now, that's Orleans, Monroe, Livingston, and I'm now hearing Genesee County. Let's widen out this view, see if we can find where that newest thunderstorm threat is here across the area. Maybe that they just simply extended the current thunderstorm that we have in effect. But looking down towards Wyoming County, you can see obviously why we're still concerned about some of the strong thunderstorm development here for the short term. This line is re-intensifying again. This is an ongoing situation. South of Attica, starting to see some strong thunderstorm development once again. We'll follow that line up through Alexander, up through Roanoke, Leroy. This is the New York State Thruway coming into view on your screen right now, right along. And now moving out of the Churchville area. Hopefully you still have power. Hopefully you're still watching us with some of the information and pictures that are coming in, some of the latest information on these storms now starting to pass through Greece. Let's load in some of these roads here. You can see, there's Manitou Road there now coming into view. North of Rochester, that's 390 there, now centered up in your screen just to the right of that grease lettering there. It is going to be nasty on 390, 5 to 10 minutes, and will be for probably the next half an hour or so. Meteorologist Stacy Pension's now coming in with some of the latest information. Braddock Heights, this is, again, a very popular boating area in parts of northern Monroe County. I just wanted to pass along, folks, this is the latest bulletin from the National Weather Service as of 6:56 here. The severe thunderstorm warning, because of all of this additional development, has now been extended until 8 o'clock this evening. National Weather Service Doppler still indicating that line of severe thunderstorms capable now of penny-sized hail. So we've gone what has been almost golf ball down to nickel-sized, now down to about penny-sized. And as the sun continues to set, I believe we'll see the weakening of these storms. Storms located on a line that extends from Hilton. We're looking at that 6 miles southwest of Gates, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour. Estimated to be near Rochester and Brighton by 7:10 p.m. Through Irondequoit and East Rochester by 7:15 p.m. Penfield and Fairport by 7:20, and Webster 7:30. And this is the part where it changes. This is the part where everyone in Rochester starts to see those strong storms. Points east of Rochester will start to see storms and a precautionary statement from the National Weather Service. They're still estimating that some weak rotation is being picked up in these storms, and we keep seeing these small signatures, these small bows on the radar. We'll take a look at it again here in just a minute, that a tornado could still develop at any time from some of these storms. If a tornado is spotted, they want you to act quickly, and we do too, get indoors and get away from some of these storms. But let's see, let's take another quick scan of some of this activity across the area, see what we're looking at here, stretching south from Greece into Church. Hey, there's downtown Rochester. There's the inner loop right there, the semicircle that goes around the city, moving right along 490 eastbound into the city. Now, this storm is crossing 490, so heading through Coldwater. Let's see, points east from there would include 390 southbound. That's heading towards Henrietta here. Yeah, we're in that too. I don't think we'll see that thunderstorm development for another 45 to an hour, but this is extended now. This thunderstorm warning is extended until 8 o'clock. We'll stay with you folks near Roanoke, Stafford, south of Morganville there, and starting to hear that siren go off again. That indicates some more severe weather information is coming into us. South of Attica, looks like into central parts of Wyoming County. A lot of farm country down there, a lot of people working hard this time of the year. A corn crop, lots of our vegetables are coming in right now. Lots of farmers outside. Folks, this is the time just to come in. That's it. Just come in. We'll put it away for a few hours. We'll be through this by 8, 9 o'clock, and let all this stuff just pass by. Let that heavy rain soak in. We've had heavy rain recently. Seems like this summer has been almost never ending with the rain. But some warm temperatures today, some of that additional moisture in the ground. You throw in the lake breezes and a weak trough of low pressure in the upper atmosphere. And this is the kind of thunderstorm development that we get on a day like today.
And, Mark, I want to bring back in some of the things we're getting from viewers. We've been getting lots of pictures and video now from some of our viewers. They've been sending it to news@13wham.com. Let's pull up this video we showed just a moment ago. This actually, we know where this is now. This is in Greece. So we're seeing some of that heavy rainfall finally making its way into the Greece area as it passes through. As Mark was saying, it's going to get more intense there. The severity of these storms will intensify as they pass through our area. Here in Rochester, we're seeing some clouds and maybe some rain here and there starting to move. But, you know, we have some events going on tonight. This is Pembroke you're looking at now. That video from the thruway stop at Pembroke sent by one of our viewers, some of those dark swirling clouds there. We have not received any information, folks, about any cancellations of events tonight. We know that 10 Ugly Men is going on tonight until 8 o'clock at Genesee Valley Park. From what we know, that is still going on for the next hour or so. But as these storms move through, we might have to see people moving out of that area and seeking shelter as the storms move into Rochester. How severe will it get here, Mark?
Well, fortunately, the strongest part of these storms has passed by, and that latest alarm that I was to, that was the cancellation of a few of these. So that's good news. But here in Monroe County, still concerned that the strength of these storms still enough to warrant a severe thunderstorm warning for Monroe County, and that goes through 8 o'clock. Now, I want to pass along some information. I believe we have the Hilton's Firemen Carnival in effect. Is that right, Edward? Is that one of the other events that's going on right now?
Yeah, I believe so.
I believe through the weekend here. But getting thunderstorm wind damage reports out of Hilton right now. These are from law enforcement up in Hilton. That's that report. Also from law enforcement in Brockport, starting to get some reports of thunderstorm wind damage in Brockport. And this information comes in slowly. If power's out, if some of these roadways are flooded, you get tree branches down, it takes time for us to get this information. It takes time for us to get it out there. But Churchville also reports of trees and wires down. You never want to approach wires. You don't know if they're hot. You don't know if they're electrified or not. Now look at this view of the ultimate Doppler radar here right now. You can see the yellow shaded area. What's that? That's the severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect until 9 o'clock this evening for all of western New York. What was the latest edition here? The latest edition was for parts of eastern Monroe County. Now this includes Webster. This includes maybe Parenton, down towards Fairport, down from there towards Pittsford, into areas near Egypt, Victor right there. We'll see some of these thunderstorms start to pass through the area. Let's go in for a closer view. You can see some of these lightning strikes right out over the city right now. Let's see if we go in for a little bit of a closer view. We'll put the radar in motion here and do some estimates for you folks on the east side of the city. You haven't seen some of these strong storms. You will see some of this development here in time. This is the loop out over the last hour here in Monroe County. You can follow those storms through Brockport. There goes that movement right there through Churchville. You can see that strong thunderstorm pass through there. Greece right now, now seeing some of that. And now off into parts of eastern county. There's East Rochester. Let's not forget about you, Henrietta. You may find a heavy downpour passing over your location here in a brief amount of time. We'll back out from this view here, and let's do a storm track. We'll track the movement of this line from down in parts of Wyoming County, heading up towards Leroy at 7:49. Looks like Caledonia at 8:03 this evening, and that's why that thunderstorm warning has been extended in Monroe County. We think that some of these storms that you're looking at right here are going to be passing through Monroe County over time. From Leroy into Spencerport, Gates and North Gates, we don't want to forget about you too. Yeah, you're going to see some of this action. Let's slide that view down just a little bit. We'll pull the center of Monroe County back onto your screen. The good part here, some of these storms and the strongest storms are actually moving out over Lake Ontario. So Greece, yeah, you do have another quick round moving through here by about 7:17 Rochester. Yeah, we've got that round coming through, but most of the strongest thunderstorm activity has now pushed out over Lake Ontario. This is the culprit. This is the one that caused the problems. If we still have some of those pictures, this is the one that produced that funnel cloud out there, Edward, and this is the one that we tracked through parts of Genesee County, through Monroe County, and now out over Lake Ontario.
And we do still have those pictures that continue to come in. Yeah. And we have some more video. This video from Henrietta, I believe we're about to take right now. This was just sent in to us from one of our viewers. You can see some of those clouds, some of those heavy, dark gray clouds moving into the Henrietta area. And Mark said that some of the worst of this has already passed, but that doesn't mean, folks, that we're not going to see some damaging weather out of some of these storms that are still passing through the Henrietta area. Now passing through Gates and the Greece area, some heavy rain. We had video earlier of that heavy rain coming through the Greece area. Now, we've been telling folks throughout all of this that if you can do so safely, please do send us in any information, picture or videos that you may have. We're hearing reports now of damage in the Gates area, some damage in the Greece area. If you have any trees in your yard that have been blown over, first of all, be sure to mind your own safety. Stay away from any down power lines that may be in the area. But if you have any damage in your yard, in the area around you, please do not hesitate to snap a picture of that or some video of that and send it in to us so that we can best cover this storm and get all of the information out to everyone in our viewing area. We are still working on right now trying numbers on how many people are without power because of this storm. We know that there are power outages specifically to the west of us, the Corfu area, Mark. They've actually asked for power to be turned off in that area so that they can tend to some of the emergencies down there. You have some more updates?
Yeah, just a couple of reports. Again, Hilton, Brockport, Churchville, some reports of damage out there, probably additional reports of damage coming out of those locations. The thunderstorm warning from 7 o'clock has now been extended to 8 o'clock if you're just joining us or if you're staying with us. Again, Rochester, Rondequoit, East Rochester, Penfield, Fairport, Webster. Most of these storms that you see right in through here will start to pass through Monroe County by that point. Earlier today, all this started at about 5:06 if you want to keep up with some of the details. A funnel cloud reported out in Genesee County. I don't know, do we have that picture from Darien Lake again? Can we put that picture back up? You can see some of the funnel cloud reaching the ground, becoming possibly a tornado. In western parts of Genesee County, that funnel cloud was reported by a train spotter. This was near Route 5 west of Batavia. You can see that line of thunderstorms now still straddles parts of, it looks like south and east Genesee County, near and north of Wyoming there. Just to the north of that, this is the border between Genesee County and Wyoming County. We can even move south from there. Some of that information that you see passing along the bottom of your screen, that is the latest information from the Weather Service. That is also available at 13wham.com. If you click on that, you'll find the latest information. Most of Wyoming County now starting to see some additional strong rain development. Leroy, yeah, that's another strong thunderstorm going through there. We'll keep the radar on there and follow that storm development. And also, again, back through Monroe County. This is the area that we're highlighting. You can see that brightest yellow shading, and with some of the light breaks. Starting to watch some of this storm wind down just a little bit, and we're going to stay with it until the severe thunderstorm warning is canceled. This is the last of them right now in Monroe County. But that dark red shading moving through areas west of Rochester. This is Route 104 right here through Greece. Some lightning strikes being detected. That's some of those shopping areas up towards Grease Ridge Mall, maybe up there towards Grease Ridge Center. Some heavily traveled areas up there. Lots of shopping areas, especially on a weekend. Everyone's out, everyone's about. You can see south of there, the pink shading moving into areas along, that's 490 into the city, right through Rochester there's the inner loop. So this storm is going to be passing right through the center of Rochester, most populous areas of Monroe County here over the next 10 to 15 minutes. We'll put that in motion one more time, and then we'll go back to Edward just for a moment. Let me widen this out for you. You can see the movement out over the last hour starting to push off towards Webster. If you're watching from up in Webster, you'll see this storm near you, East Rochester, and south from there. So what has been a very dynamic situation, slowly unwinding here, Edward. And you're just never safe until the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled. Just a couple of more hours, and I think we'll be through this. I know it's a Saturday evening. Everyone wants to get out there, wants to get out and about. But when you have a line like this coming through, it's always better to be safe than sorry. And the aftermath of this, again, that National Weather Service slogan is turn around, don't drown. You just don't know. The storm drains get overwhelmed in some of these heavy downpours.
And Mark, we're prone to that in our area. We are prone to some of those flash floodings. As Mark was saying, there are some things you need to know in case you run into some heavy rain and flash flooding. Of course, you never want to drive into water. In these sorts of situations, you never really know how deep that water is. So if you see a large pool of water developing on the street or on the highway, don't drive in and turn around if you can and drive away from it. If you find yourself trapped in a flash flooding situation, you want to get out of your car. If it stalls, if your vehicle stalls in a flash flooding situation, Mark, right? Get out of the vehicle immediately.
That's right. And get on top of it.
If the car can't move,
That's
and get to higher ground, get on top of that vehicle. We continue to get more in from our viewers, more pictures, more videos. You can continue, folks, to send those to news@13wham.com. This here, another shot of some of those storm clouds. I believe that this is Greece that we're looking at right now. One of our viewers from Greece sent us this photo. We're seeing some heavy rain in the Greece area right now. So as we were saying, there is the possibility of some flash flooding out and about. If you happen to run into any of that flash flooding, here's some video of Rochester. This again, Cranberry Pond in Rochester. This in from just fresh from a video.
Near Greece, I
near
believe.
Greece, all right. Cranberry Pond near Greece in the Rochester area. So as we've been saying, in that Greece area and into Rochester a bit in the northern part, you're going to see some heavy rain. Maybe even some hail, Mark? Are we seeing still hail out of this?
It's a possibility, and the National Weather Service just sent out another precautionary statement, Edward. They say Doppler radar still indicating some weak rotation in some of these thunderstorms that we've been following. No surprise, folks, with all the outflow boundaries from some of these previous storms, there is an invisible wall just passing along from these thunderstorms. Air rushes down into the storms and then out away from that. So the air pushing away from these storms, it's a self-initiating process where we find additional thunderstorms developing off old boundaries. And this boundary just continues to sit and slowly move off to the east. It's going to take some time, but we will get through this. But they still say that severe thunderstorms near Irondequoit, East Rochester, it will be by 7:15. I suspect even a few minutes after that now. Penfield and Fairport by 7:20. Webster by 7:30. Still get another scope. This is probably the strongest of the storms. We'll go in for a closer view. I just want to step off here. Again, you're watching some of this information as it's coming into us, so probably being delivered in a format that may be a little bit unusual for the viewers at home, but this information comes in, we'll just pass it along. South of 104. Right along North Greece Road there in Greece. I imagine that's not so much fun right now. But the good news, a lot of that lightning strikes, our lightning data is on right now. So if there was lightning data going into this computer, you would see it live on your screen. That's good news for us in parts of Greece. Now, where it's not so great and where we're starting to see some of those self-initiating thunderstorms, that's down towards Leroy, right in it, in parts of southern Genesee County right now. That's north of Wyoming. That pink shading, boys, that's some intense thunderstorm development. This is one of those downpours where you go into the downpour. I know everyone that's driven has been in this situation where you drive into it, you put the windshield wipers all the way up to that highest level that they go, and that's almost blinding by itself as those start to go back and forth. But it's one of these scenarios where you can't see, and not only can you not see, but you can't see that water you're driving into, the hydroplaning that could occur. So if travel through this line of thunderstorms, that's probably some of the better advice here so far tonight. This is into areas near the Wyoming County border. That's that dark line that you see there. But where you see that pink shading there, I imagine that's over a lot of farm fields and a lot of agricultural areas right now. That's just some heavy flooding rainfall that's passing through some of those locations right there. I want to back out just a little bit. We'll take a broad view of this again, and you can still see that. Let's zoom way out, in fact. Yeah, there's that group of thunderstorms out over Lake Ontario. Some of the areas down to our south through Pennsylvania into some of those thunderstorms here in Rochester. That main area of concern, and the only severe thunderstorm warning in this group right now is, in fact, over Rochester. The heaviest rainfall of the second group is now over Rochester into parts of downtown. Here's a look at your forecast, folks, as we go through the rest of the evening. 7 o'clock temperature in the upper 70s, some strong thunderstorms. This is after 7 o'clock. We're just keeping on going here. 10 o'clock, 73 degrees. Storms start to move off to the east. And I think after 9 o'clock, when that severe thunderstorm watch starts to get canceled back, especially west Rochester, we'll start to see some of this wind down. 71 degrees at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Should be a rain-free start, but watch what starts to happen by tomorrow afternoon. Unfortunately, we may just not be out of the second round of this just yet. Low 70s to start off, real sticky feel to the atmosphere tomorrow, still in that tropical air. Watch what happens during the early afternoon to the mid-afternoon. We climb up to about 80 degrees tomorrow, and then you'll start to see some rain coming down. You'll start to see some flashes of lightning here. I think we will find thunderstorm development once again tomorrow, and I know we're heading into a Sunday. This is the time of the year we have graduation parties. Everyone wants to know when they can get out there and get some golf in and do all the fun stuff outdoors, the boating and everything else out in Ontario. But you can see by tomorrow afternoon, in fact, we may be into one of these scenarios once again. So just something to keep in mind as we go through the rest of our weekend. That's a possibility. But there's that line again. We just have to stay with it until we get out of this severe thunderstorm warning.
Coming up, we'll tell you how the folks in the village of Corfu are coping after a tornado touches down there.
And will our Sunday forecast be as active as our Saturday forecast? We'll have that answer coming up as well.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 Wham News at 11.
Wild weather in western New York today. A tornado touches down in Genesee County and severe thunderstorms spread across our area. Good evening, everybody. Severe storms roll through the area this evening from Genesee County, where a tornado touched down, to Wayne County, where heavy rain, thunder, and lightning were spotted. Meteorologist Mark McLean has been tracking this storm all night and has the latest on the developments.
And quite literally the latest, Edward. Just a couple of minutes ago, the National Weather Service came down with their preliminary storm summary on this storm that developed at 5:06 p.m. Today. That summary, I haven't even had a chance to read all through it yet, says that the confirmed tornado, according to eyewitness accounts, an EF1 tornado struck Genesee County in the town of Darien, village of Corfu. 25 to 30 homes suffered damage. One greenhouse and a barn were completely destroyed. And in addition to that, 20 power poles and numerous trees were knocked down by this EF1 tornado, with winds estimated around 100 miles per hour. Now, where was this tornado? Well, there's Corfu and Darien Center, extreme south and west parts of Genesee County. And this is some of the statistics that go along with that EF1 tornado. Had a 4-mile path in between the two locations, and at its widest point was about 100 yards wide. So that's just wider than a football field, about 328 feet wide at its widest point, with winds around 100 miles per hour. So naturally, there's going to be some damage with a storm of this magnitude. Now, in addition to that tornado, we also had storm damage in a swath from Buffalo to Rochester that moved up through Rochester. And this is what it looked like right across the area. Started at Corfu with that tornado, but Brockport also reported trees and wires down Churchville, Rochester, Irondequoit, West Webster. Said numerous trees and wires in Hilton. And also tomorrow, the National Weather Service is going to fly with emergency coordinators from Genesee County out over the path of this storm. Also, an unconfirmed possible funnel cloud up in the Hilton area today. They are also going to take a look at that as well. Hamlet had quite widespread flooding also this afternoon. So EF1, where does that place this storm? 86 to 110 mile per hour winds, just a little bit higher than an EF0 tornado, which would have been about 65 to 85 miles per hour. You can see the rest of the scale fall down here between 111 and 135 for an EF2. And you get up to that EF5 scale, over 200 mile per hour winds. Just for a point of reference, here in Rochester, the highest wind speed ever observed officially at the airport is only 89 miles per hour. So that 100 mile per hour confirmed tornado out there in Corfu, that's really up there for those winds. Tornado Facts estimated 1,000 tornadoes per year in the United States. Only 2% of those tornadoes are rated an F4 or F5. Here in New York State, only 4 to 6 tornadoes per year. And Edward, one of these unusual stats that goes along with this, last tornado that touched down in the city of Rochester, 1932, that was on Lyle Avenue, somewhere in between the Wegmans and the Nick Tahoes there on Lyle Avenue. So that goes back quite a ways here in our own local weather.
Yeah, we here in the city at least, we're fortunate not to see those funnel clouds here. All right, Mark, thank you very much. We'll be checking back in with Mark in just a few minutes. Well, dozens of people in the town of Darien and the village of Corfu are staying with friends and relatives tonight after that tornado touched down. Several people sent us pictures of the funnel cloud like the one you see there behind me. National Weather Service officials say it was a Category F1 storm, and as 13 Wham's Anna List tells us, it left a 4-mile path of destruction.
Amanda Alexander was at home when she heard the storm approaching.
And all of a sudden it sounded like a train was coming through the house, but we live next to a train, so I didn't think much of it at first. But then when I looked out the front window, the front door, everything was blowing. I've never seen winds like this before, and stuff was flying by. So I went and shut the front door and grabbed my dog and headed for the basement.
10 minutes later, her neighborhood was turned upside down.
Almost all of the trees are down, so we lost all our trees. Everything in the backyard was destroyed. We have a screened-in porch that was destroyed. Everything inside the screened-in porch was destroyed. Windows were blown in.
Mickey Zangi lives just a couple of streets over from Alexander. Hers is a similar story.
We thought it was a loud train going by, and we thought it was like maybe a crash with a train, so we looked out our window, and there was the tornado smack right in front of us, and everybody you could see scrambling and taking cover, running to the basements.
In all, emergency officials say close to 30 homes and small structures suffered mostly minor damage. A few homes, including a florist shop, lost their roofs. A greenhouse was leveled almost to the ground. But luckily, no one was hurt, thanks to quick response by emergency officials.
It's scary. It's scary. It's knowing that it was going to my neighbors and my neighboring towns. So I got on the radio and made sure we had warned the next town over that it was on its way.
The main thing was everybody checked with each other's neighbors to make sure that nobody was hurt, nobody was really bad hurt. And then looking around, like my house got a trampoline on it.
Tomorrow morning, the National Weather Service, along with New York State Police, will be doing an aerial flyover to find out just how many times this tornado touched down and also to assess the path of the damage. Reporting in the town of Corfu, Anna List, 13 Wham News.
And while Corfu took the worst hit during today's storm surge, other towns and villages got their fair share of damage, much of it captured on camera by viewers like you. Take a look. As soon as the storm started rolling through, your pictures started coming in. From an ominous wall of clouds moving in, viewers' cameras even caught these amazing shots of funnel clouds forming high above. Our crews were out and about as well as streets filled to flood level and cars made their way through the downpour. The storm hit hard in Hilton, where the town's annual carnival was underway. Everyone was taken to a nearby shelter. Many saw funnel clouds.
I seen a funnel come down from the sky like twirling, and it came halfway down, and it sort of hesitated and then went back up. I was scared. I didn't know if it was going to come down and come towards my house or what was it.
And Hilton's volunteer firefighters were called in to patch up a house damaged by the high winds. Fortunately, no one was home. And we want to give you an update right now on power outages in the area. RG&E says 600 customers are without power tonight. 400 in Gates and 200 scattered throughout Webster, Irondequoit, Parma, and Ogden. Now, crews are working to restore the power. No word yet, though, on when folks can expect to have their power back on. Now, dozens of you, our viewers, sent us pictures of the funnel cloud and storm damage all evening so we could share them on air. And if you missed any of our coverage earlier this evening, we have a slideshow of many of those pictures and video that was sent to us on 13wham.com. And a reminder, anytime you see interesting weather in your area, you can go ahead and send those pictures or video to us at news@13wham.com. And now let's check in with meteorologist Mark McLean as he continues to track this storm. And Mark, we were talking about all those pictures that people were sending to us tonight. We were so thankful to have them sending those pictures in. Images that we have not seen in this area in a long, long time.
Yeah, and I think many would never see in a lifetime. Here in Rochester, New York, 4 to 6 tornadoes a year in New York State on average. Most of those are in the southern tier, southern Finger Lakes down towards Binghamton.
And while all that has moved beyond us now, we're still seeing some rain showers in Rochester itself now, right?
And it's unbelievable. We just keep adding on to this rain total out there. And the ground, it's really reached a point of saturation. We just can't take any more of this rainfall. Take a look at this rain bucket. This is where we're at. Our local weather here, we had the rain today. We had some hail. We had the wind here in Rochester. Nothing like what they had in parts of western Monroe County and also out towards Genesee County. But this is a look at some of the statistics now. Official rain, this is just since June 1st here in Rochester. We're now over 10 inches of rain. That's about 4.5 inches above normal just since June 1st. The 2009 surplus, you look at these two numbers right here, and you say, we were below normal for rainfall through the end of May. That is hard to believe here in Rochester. We made up for that in a hurry, and that rain today really didn't help us out that much. Ultimate Doppler still shows an active scene here. Look at the areas west of Rochester, right along the lakeshore, just to the north of Rochester. Let's go in for a closer zoom, take a look at some of this activity off to our west now. And those oranges, those yellows that you see right there, this is indicating activity that's not nearly as strong as what we saw earlier today. Now near Albion, right along Route 104, just out to Brockport, north of there right now. Some of the areas that had the heaviest rain are now out of the rain in parts of western Monroe County. But what we're going to see over time here is the redevelopment of a few of these showers west of Rochester, and then I think as we go through the overnight, this activity that you see here is going to start to dwindle off and weaken. So that little ribbon of showers right there should start to fade away. That's some good news for us. But that wet summer weather that we've had looks like it sticks around for tomorrow. We'll take a look at that forecast in just a second. Right now, Weather Service Observer says distant thunder, 69 degrees. The Sky Planner shows us that area west of Rochester starting to fade away with some of that rain through the overnight, partly cloudy skies. Some hazy sun early tomorrow. And then look what happens by 3, 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Start to get back into a few rain showers. Maybe those showers become more numerous by 7 or 8 o'clock tomorrow night. And then once again back into that scenario where the showers fade away tomorrow night into Monday morning. We're back into partly sunny skies for early Monday, and should be a dry start to the work week. So here's how Sunday looks. We have hazy sun in the morning, 70s, low 70s to start off the day, 68 in Wyoming. Temperature by lunchtime should climb up into the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. And after that, that's when I think things get a little bit more dicey. We get a little bit of that heating, a little bit of instability through the afternoon, and maybe some of those showers and thunderstorms popping up by 5 o'clock. Keep that in mind if you're outdoors. There is that possibility. Once again, tomorrow we should be in the upper 70s to near 80 degrees. More like summer? Well, we think the next couple of days should be right around that benchmark of 82 degrees. We'll say 80 on Sunday, 81 on Monday, up to 85 on Tuesday, and it looks dry. These 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, look dry, and we need it. By Wednesday, we're at 80, and it looks like we stay right around 80 for Thursday as well. So that overnight forecast, showers mainly west. We'll find that all fading away in the upper 60s. Sunday morning, 67 to 72. Warm start. You'll notice the humidity out there, one of those little bit of a tacky start out there. And then by the afternoon, 77 to 82. Thunderstorms develop the rest of the forecast. We'll try to keep dry there on the 7-day, 81 on Monday, 85 on Tuesday. It's just hard to believe that we had the 81-degree weather today. This is only the third day in July that we had in the 80s, and you can see where we round out by the end of the week, dry on Friday at 79. And it looks like this weather pattern is finally starting to show some signs of breaking up. We're finally edging back towards what's more normal, but certainly nothing normal about the weather today.
You know, and we were talking earlier today, you could just feel it in the air. You could feel something coming in. Yeah.
And I can't ever remember just an image that we had from Darien Lake, and I know it's on 13wham.com, where you see from some of the umbrellas from Darien Lake itself, you can see the funnel cloud coming down.
Huge funnel cloud in the background. Yeah, it really was. And like Mark said, folks, you can catch all of those pictures and video that we got from our viewers on 13wham.com. All right, thank you, Mark. Well, still ahead on 13wham News at 11, your lottery drawing, plus some other news of the day, including a young girl hit by a car in Rochester. But first, some more of your pictures of today's wild weather. We'll be right back.
Good evening. Those tornadoes touched down Saturday in Genesee County and in Hilton here in Monroe County, and there are more storms on the way. Meteorologist Mark McLean says the severe weather did continue today, and he has a look back on yesterday for us as well.
Yeah, Rachel, it was the busiest the forecast center has ever been in the last 3 decades here in Rochester during the summertime. Where were these tornadoes? Well, we talked about the one in Corfu. That's in extreme southwest Genesee County, also in Hilton. This is how we classify these tornadoes in the forecast center. That distance between Corfu and Darien Center, you might recognize Darien Lake out that direction. This is an EF1 tornado. The winds were around 100 miles per hour. Storm had a 4-mile path, 100 yards wide, so about 330 feet wide. You can imagine a funnel that large. Back here to Monroe County, Hilton, EF0 tornado. The path with that one, 3/4 of a mile, 30 yards wide, so that storm was a little bit smaller, a little bit weaker. The maximum winds in that storm were about 75 miles per hour. It was a wide swath of damage from both areas, and the perspective of all of our viewing area, really. From Buffalo to Rochester, this yellow striping indicates an area where the power lines were damaged, the trees came down in some locations, and we're just talking about unusual weather altogether. How rare is a tornado here in Monroe County? Well, this is how rare they are. The first tornado to touch down in Monroe County since September of 1981. That was in Rush. New York State averages 4 to 6 a year, so that's almost 50% of the tornadoes in New York State. Last tornado in Rochester, July 1st, 1932. Now, we caught some video. We have some video from Greg up in Hilton. Take a look at what this looked like in Hilton just yesterday. And there's some of the hail coming down, hitting the deck, hitting the side of the house. You can see some of that leaf debris there, that leaf debris coming up against the patio. That was a rental tent, unfortunately, in the backyard, set up for a party. But wife noted that the winds were swirling around the house, was down in the basement, grabbed the camera, came back up to shoot some of this footage, and we had some of the winds just swirling around the house. He actually caught the tail end of what came to be that EF0 tornado up in Hilton. There's the patio set, what's left of it, unfortunately, the umbrella catching the worst of that, and you can see the rest of the backyard right there on the video. We're talking about the damage in Hilton, Rachel. What do you have?
All right, thank you, Mark. That second tornado that touched down in Hilton did cause some damage. People who live there spent the day cleaning up tree debris. The tornado knocked over many trees, threw around patio furniture, other outdoor items.
Just when we got into our driveway, it looked like a war zone hit us. All our trees were toppled over. They took off, the tops of the trees, and today we're just doing a cleanup job.
And when I came out on my deck last night, there were leaves all over the place, branches down. It was a disaster.
And as Mark said, these tornadoes are very rare. Last night's tornado in Hilton was the first one to touch down in Monroe County in 28 years. That last one hit in Rush in 1981. The severe storms forced the Hilton Fire Department to shut down its annual carnival. The fire chief says they were warned about the tornado about a half an hour before it hit, so they were able to prepare and act quickly.
We closed the carnival down at 6:30, which is, I think, the first time since 1938 we've ever closed our carnival down. And we opened up our exempt club, put the people in the exempt club until it kind of blew over.
And a worker at the Hilton Carnival suffered serious head and neck injuries after a 15-foot fall. The man fell off a platform last night while taking down one of the rides. The fire chief says it was raining heavily at the time. The worker was conscious when he was taken to the hospital. The National Weather Service says it will take aerial shots of the storm's damage in Genesee County tomorrow, but today, people who live in Corfu and nearby Darien had a lot of work to do. 13 Wham's Norma Holland tells us the storm's aftermath brought out people and their power saws.
There was no shortage of brawn in Corfu today as people cut up what fell down during the tornado. Corfu Mayor Todd Skeet spent last night and early today going through the village checking up on people. He admits that this storm, the first one in Genesee County in 16 years, tested him.
I was scared to death. I didn't know how many fatalities I had, how many critical injured. And when I got to the area, I was just scared to death. I didn't know what to do.
I was blown off, came right through here, took these trees down, ended up here and continued on for another probably a half a mile.
Ron Wheeler says the roof of his tent business flew off and sailed into nearby trees. Concrete blocks now litter the parking lot. He says he's grateful no one was in the building when that storm hit.
And to pick up a concrete block, well, there was like 8 of them, and throw them 350 feet was quite a force. No, never ever have I ever seen any wind like this or a tornado like this.
The damage along Route 33 brought out the onlookers and even a few souvenir hunters.
It holds the wires on the telephone pole. This is part of it right here. I was just picking it up. So
what are you going to do with it?
Well, I'm going to put it on my shelf, mark it tornado. It's about all I'm going to do.
The cleanup will take some time, and so too will all of the paperwork that needs to be filed from this storm. It's estimated that damage from the storm is about $500,000. In Genesee County, I'm Norma Holland.
From your breaking news and weather authority, this is 13 Wham News at 11.
They are rarely seen in western New York. On Saturday, not one, but 2 tornadoes struck.
I was scared to death.
Today, it was time to survey the damage and clean up.
Good evening. On the heels of those tornadoes, we had another day of severe weather in the Rochester area. In Clyde, Wayne County, this afternoon storm caused some heavy damage. A tree was uprooted and landed on top of a house. We're told no one was hurt. And meteorologist Mark McLean joins us now to let us know if these storms have passed.
And I think that's the good news here, Rachel. Most of the activity from yesterday centered west of Rochester quickly moved out. Now the activity east of Rochester is also doing the same. So that's some good news for the rest of the forecast here tonight. Still seeing that line of showers extending south from Geneva, south from there through Yates County. We can actually go for a closer look on some of those showers. We'll go just south of the city, and you'll be able to see a little bit of a close-up of some showers that produced a flood advisory in Yates County. That has now been discontinued. We did have 2 to 3 inches of rain in parts of Yates County and also Ontario County. The east view of the city here, well, it's showing that some of those showers are also moving away out of Phelps, out of Clyde, where we had some of that wind damage earlier today. So that's the good news for the short term. The western New York view shows that, yeah, most of this is sliding just off to the east. Where were those tornadoes? Let's talk about those for just a minute. The Corfu tornado that was well southwest of Rochester came in as an EF1 tornado, a 4-mile long path, 100 yards wide. That's about 330 feet wide. So, you know, with 100-mile-per-hour winds, there is going to be some damage with a storm like that. And Hilton confirmed this morning an EF0 tornado that was a 3/4-mile path, 30 yards wide for a tornado. And talking about in western New York, the first tornado in Monroe County here in almost 3 decades. New York State averages 4 to 6 tornadoes per year. The last tornado in downtown Rochester, July 1st, 1932. And I know we've got to look at some more of that damage out in Hilton now and also out southwest of Rochester, too.
I'm headed to Corfu right now. Thank you, Mark. Well, tomorrow, the National Weather Service will take aerial shots of the storm's damage in Genesee County. But today, people who live in Corfu and nearby Darien have plenty of work to do. 13 Wham's Norma Holland reports.
There was no shortage of brawn in Corfu today as people cut up what fell down during the tornado. Corfu Mayor Todd Skeet spent last night and early today going through the village checking up on people. He admits that this storm, the first one in Genesee County in 16 years, tested him.
I was scared to death. I didn't know how many fatalities I had, how many critical injured. And when I got to the area, I was just scared to death. I didn't know what to do.
I was blown off, came right through here, took these trees down, ended up here and continued on for another probably a half a mile.
Ron Wheeler says the roof of his tent business flew off and sailed into nearby trees. Concrete blocks now litter the parking lot. He says he's grateful no one was in the building when that storm hit.
And to pick up a concrete block, while there was like 8 of them, and throw them 350 feet was quite a force. No, never ever have I ever seen any wind like this or a tornado like this.
The damage along Route 33 brought out the onlookers and even a few souvenir hunters.
It holds the wires on the telephone pole. This is part of it right here. I was just picking it up. So
what are you going to do with it?
Well, I'm going to put it on my shelf, mark it tornado. It's about all I'm going to do.
The cleanup will take some time, and so too will all of the paperwork that needs to be filed from this storm. It's estimated that damage from the storm is about $500,000. In Genesee County, I'm Norma Holland.
The Hilton area escaped major damage. Residents spent the day cleaning up debris. The tornado knocked over many trees and threw around some patio furniture. It was the first tornado to touch down in Monroe County in 28 years.
Just when we got into our driveway, it looked like a war zone hit us. All our trees were toppled over. They took off, the tops of the trees, and today we're just doing a cleanup job.
And when I came out on my deck last night, there were leaves all over the place, branches down. It was a disaster.
And a lot of you have sent in storm pictures and video, and this was taken at a rest stop on Route 90 in Pembroke. You can see that funnel cloud forming. And this video also taken from Pembroke. This one was right near Pembroke Primary School. This video sent us from Hilton, where that second tornado touched down. The damage in Hilton was a little less severe than in Genesee County. And we have a lot more of your submissions on the web. If you missed any of our tornado coverage, you can get a full recap and a slideshow of pictures on 13wham.com.